Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Create Incubator. Before I start my session, I thought I'll give you a brief of what this program is and who is behind it and what you as a creator could get out of a program like this. Right? So Create Incubator started 3 years ago, and we have already gone through 2 cohorts of 50 creators. So we have an alumni of 100 creators right across the country. But this year we are focusing specifically on the central province. So if you are a creator who's joining in, which most of you are from the central province, this is a good opportunity for you to, one, level up your game as a creator, learn from experts, create a network of creators, join a network of creators that's very strong and supportive, and also stand to benefit from the program that we have in place for you, along with a grant of 75,000 rupees. So Create Incubator is organized by Digital Turtles, which is a digital strategy and advocacy organization based in Sri Lanka. And this program is funded by USAID, and we are very thankful for the support of USAID for coming forward and supporting a creator program like this in Sri Lanka. So right now you are joining the online workshops, which we are having in English, Sinhala and Tamil. And you have the opportunity to learn through these sessions. And after the online workshops, you can fill in the assessment and stand ready to join the cohort of 50. So obviously a lot of people are joining the online workshops. Right, and out of that, 50 have a chance to join our in-person program along with the grant, and those 50 will have a chance to join our residential program in Kandy for 3 days in December. Right. So in brief, this is what Create Incubator is about. Engage yourself during the sessions. Today morning we have all the English sessions, and evening, afternoon to evening, we have our Sinhala sessions. So please join the sessions, ask questions. Be engaging, because that also will count towards your final assessment. Right. So let's start with my session today. I know I've done this session multiple times, but it does not get old, because one, we have to learn the basics. Even if you are a creator who has started their channel, their page, right, getting your basics right is very important as a creator. So I'll, over the course of the next 45 to 60 minutes, I will go through what information you require as a creator, one, and number two, where you can start, and if you have already started, how you can plan your content, right? Okay, starting off, if you look at my slide, right, it's very important for you to realize the target audience you are speaking to in terms of your content, right? So right now, pardon me for using the 2013 statistics, right? But in 2014, We Are Social has changed their research, the survey mechanism, and I find that the 2013 stats are far more accurate, right? So as of 2023-2024, we have a population of 21 million, right? And out of which 14 million have access to the internet, right? So that's above 50% of our population that has access to the internet. This is an important factor, right? When you're talking about creating content, mainly content is divided across language, unfortunately so, right? So if you are a Sinhalese content creator, or if you're a Tamil content creator, and if you're an English content creator, the audience that you get from doing that content is vastly different, right? However, if you are creating content for Sri Lankans, right, this number of 14 million is very important, because that is your absolute potential in terms of how many viewers you can have. So 14 million currently as a Sri Lankan, if you are targeting Sri Lankans, is the number you can aim for. Right? However, if you are a creator that's creating content that is global, right? Especially if you're doing content in English, if you're doing content in Tamil and you're trying to reach South Indian audience, right? Or if you're creating content in Sinhalese but you're trying to reach our expats, right? Numbers vary, right? But overall, just remember that over 50% of Sri Lankans have access to the internet now. And year on year, we are seeing at least a 10 to 15% growth, right? So my projection is within the next 5 years, close to 90% of our population will have access to the internet. So this is a big number. So as a creator, right, if that's the path you're taking, you have a lot of potential, because in future, almost every form of communication, right, will have a digital component in it. It already does, right? It will be predominantly digital within the next 5 years in Sri Lanka. Next, if you look at my slide, this is a very important number, right? Most of the time when I have workshops, normally when I have workshops, one of the key things that I ask is, what's the most used platform, digital platform in Sri Lanka? And most of the time, I get the answer that it's Facebook, right? And the answer is incorrect. Right now, in my slide, you can see, as of January 2023, our Facebook usage, right, is at around 6.5 million users. Next, when we go to YouTube, right, if you're looking at my slide, right, if we go to YouTube, you can see that close to 7 million people use YouTube, right? So 2023 was a very significant year in terms of our digital media usage in Sri Lanka, because this is the first year that YouTube overtook Facebook as the most used platform, right? This is an important statistic. Now, if you are paying attention to what I'm saying, right, Facebook usage is declining, right, globally and in Sri Lanka. And YouTube has surpassed Facebook as the platform most used by Sri Lankans. You would realize that I'm using the word platform. That's because YouTube is not a social media, right? Most of the time when we talk about social media, we talk about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? However, we make the wrong assumption that YouTube is a social media platform. It's starting to look one. It might become one, but right now, it's not a social media platform. It's a video site. So how you treat YouTube and how you treat a social media site, how you would post on YouTube versus how you post on a social media site is vastly different. So that's why in my session, I will run you through quickly what that means, right? But these two slides are the most important, right? YouTube users are growing in Sri Lanka and globally. And right now, in Sri Lanka, YouTube is the most used platform. Next, Instagram. We have about 1.7 million active users on Instagram. We have 2.1 million users on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is usually mostly in the western province of Sri Lanka. And X, formerly Twitter, has about 300,000 users, right? Okay. Before we go into what content creation is, where you start, right? How you can plan your content, it is important to understand what YouTube is and what this monetization is. A lot of the time when I ask people, okay, do you know that you can earn money from YouTube? They say yes. But if I ask them, how does that money come? I get varied answers. People say you get money for your subscribers, you get money for your views. All of this is wrong, right? So I'll teach you what monetization is, so you as a creator understand, okay, this is how this works. On YouTube, right? Say for example, you upload a video, you take 3 days to film it, you take 2 days to edit it, right? You upload it on YouTube, and when you upload it on YouTube, right before your video plays, right, YouTube would insert a non-skippable ad, right? The one that frustrates us the most, right? The one that can be skipped, right? That ad, let's say for example, a Sri Lankan bank has paid for that ad to be shown, right? So the Sri Lankan bank, if you look at my slide, right, the bank has paid YouTube X amount of money, right, to show that ad in front of, say for example, males in the western province of Sri Lanka between the ages of 18 to 25, right? If that audience happens to come to your video, YouTube would show that ad to that person, right? So essentially, YouTube has taken money to show an ad in front of your hard work, right? So YouTube being YouTube shares that revenue, right? So they usually keep between 45 to 50% of that revenue, right? And they give between 55 to 50% of that revenue to the content creator, right? So that's how monetization works. It's not a pyramid scheme, right? It's not for your subscribers. It's what we call ad playthroughs, right? Even if you have 100,000 views on your video, right? if there are only 10% of ad playthroughs, right? That means only 10% of those views have gone with an ad in your video, right? That's the revenue you get. So when I'm asked that question, how much money do you get from a video? How much money would I get for 100,000 views on YouTube? It's a very difficult question to answer because it varies. One, on the number of ad playthroughs. Two, where your audience comes from. Not all audiences are built the same, right? For example, some of our biggest channels, the second most subscribed channel that's handled by my teams in Sri Lanka, right? 65% of the audience of that channel comes from Sri Lanka. But that 65% only account for about 15% of the revenue. Whereas 15% of that channel audience comes from Australia, right? Of which that 15% account for about 45% of the full channel's revenue. So if you have audience from outside of Sri Lanka, generally your monetization RPMs are higher, right? Okay, so now you understand how does money come, right? Usually it's for ad playthroughs. Next, what's the criteria to earn money on YouTube, right? I'm going to go briefly over this, right? You have to join something called YPP, which is the YouTube Partner Program. And it's a program that's rolled from country to country, right? Currently, it's rolled out to Sri Lanka. So anyone can legally earn from YouTube if you're living in Sri Lanka, right? And you have to pass these two very important thresholds. Number one, you have to pass 1,000 subscribers. And number two, you have to at least get 4,000 watch hours over the last 12 months, right? This is changing. YouTube is reducing the requirement to 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours or 3 million short views. However, this has not been rolled to Sri Lanka yet. So the requirement on top is what is required if you live in Sri Lanka right now. Okay. Most people understand 1,000 subscribers, right? It's the 4,000 watch hour milestone that people find difficult to understand. So I'm going to oversimplify this for you so that you understand. If you upload a video every week, right, and that video gets an average of 15 to 20,000 views, right, and you do this for at least 6 months, you can cross that 4,000 watch hour threshold, right? I'm oversimplifying this, right? So there are YouTubers who put out 2 videos, they go viral and they hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in a day or two, right? But for an average YouTuber, which is the majority of you, right, the climb is hard. Your first 1,000 subscribers are your hardest, right? 1,000 to 10,000, it becomes a little easier. 10,000 to 25,000, it becomes a little bit more easier. From 25,000 to 100,000 is the easiest, right? Because on YouTube, the more you get subscribers, it's a compounded effect, right? You get more viewers. So the first 1,000 to 10,000 is the hardest climb. Right. Answering the age-old question, how much money will I earn? Like I said, I'm going to give you an answer to this. However, remember that this is a little simplified. Okay. There are times, on average, right, we have earned for 100,000 views. Normally, on average, you would earn about 15,000 to 30,000 Sri Lankan rupees for 100,000 views. This differs during Christmas, December, during April, out of the season, these numbers go up, right? And like I said, if your audience is predominantly from a European country or outside of Sri Lanka, your watch time versus your views versus your revenue could be higher. But on average, if you are catering to Sri Lankans, for 100,000 views, you can earn between 15,000 to 35,000 Sri Lankan rupees. Right, okay. All the money matters are out of the way, right? Let's talk content. Why I talked about monetization is, one, I am a strong believer that no form of creation can be sustained without monetization, right? So that's why, as a creator for you, it's important, okay, when you're getting into this, right, you have to understand, okay, is there a potential of this becoming my full-time profession one day? Because most YouTubers in Sri Lanka start as part-time or it's a part-time thing, it's a freelance thing they start as, but eventually they go into it full-time. So I know at least 50 content creators from Sri Lanka who are full-time content creators. So this is possible, and most of the time when I have a workshop in Sri Lanka, the first question is, how much money will I earn? Number two, how can I convince my parents that this is a worthwhile profession, So I hope I have answered both those questions in the first part of my session, right? Okay, now you are about to start your channel, right? Or you have a channel and you need more guidance or direction in terms of where you need to go. Before you start, right, or if you've already started, this is a small exercise I give to every one of my creators that has ever come to me for advice, right? Because this little exercise helps you figure out where you start, right? What your target audience is, right? How much time you have to commit to do this, right? And eventually, the overall vertical of your channel, the genre of your channel, right? So the exercise is this, right? You have to visualize your channel trailer, right? So if you have a channel, visualize it. If you are planning on starting a channel, visualize your channel trailer. Usually, creators come to me and say, yeah, I can dance, right? Sorry, I can dance, I can sing, I love to travel, I can cook a bit. Can I put all of this content into one channel, right? My advice is don't. Usually on YouTube, if you even look at your own consumption habits, right? The channels that you have subscribed on YouTube belong to a genre, right? It's a certain vertical, right? If you take some Sri Lankan channels, for example, Travel with Wife, from the name you know, it's a travel channel, right? Wild Cookbook, right? It's a cooking channel, right? Anuma's Kitchen, Ape Amma, right? What are those? They are cooking channels. They stick to a vertical because on YouTube, generally, people subscribe to a vertical, right? So it's very important for you to understand, okay, this is the vertical I belong to, right? So in my exercise, I ask creators to do these 4 things. So my advice to you is do these 4 things. Usually creators would write this down or they self-shoot it. That really helps. Put on your selfie camera, put it on a tripod. Practice this because it really helps you figure out, okay, this is where I should start and this is my channel, okay? Your channel trailer is a 1 to 1.5 minute long video in which you have to communicate 4 things very clearly, right? Number 1, who you are. This is not your name or address or where you schooled, right? Who you are is a good introduction of yourself to someone that doesn't know you, right? Usually on YouTube, what I advise my creators is people should fall in love with your personality, right? YouTube is a personality-driven platform. Over brands, people prefer individuals and personalities, right? So in your Who Am I section of that introduction, you have to clearly set out, okay, this is the person I am, these are my interests, right? In a way that someone would actually fall in love with you, right? So number 1 in your exercise is who you are. Number 2, what kind of content will you upload? This is where you define your content type, right? So if it was my channel, I'd be like, hi guys, I'm Janith Rodrigo, these are my interests, right? I will be doing videos on tech things, right? On technology, anything that's emerging, right? That's my content, right? So number 1, who you are. Number 2, what kind of content will you upload? Number 3, the frequency of your uploads. This is very important, right? So in the case of my channel, I'll say, hi guys, I'm Janith Rodrigo. I would do tech videos. Every Thursday at 6 p.m., expect a new video from me, right? This does 2 things. Number 1, it gives you a goal, right? Now you've said it out loud in public, right? If you're sick, if you're tired, whatever happens, right? You have to upload that video every Thursday at 6 p.m., right? It sets yourself a goal. Number 2, it gives a reason for people to subscribe to your channel, right? For example, if someone's watching your video now, right, and in your channel trailer, you've said that every week you're uploading fresh content, right? Every Thursday at 6 p.m., I'm uploading a new video. The person who's watching your current video, if they like it, they know, okay, wow, this creator uploads regularly. I should probably subscribe, right? So this gives your viewer an impetus to subscribe, right? So it helps you in 2 ways. Lastly, number 4, the 4th one you need to communicate in your channel trailer is whom should subscribe. In digital marketing terms, we call this defining your TG, right? Or you must define your target group, right? So in my example, I would say, hi guys, I'm Janith Rodrigo. I'll tech videos. I love everything tech, right? Every Thursday, expect a new video from me. People who love tech products, especially things that fly, please subscribe to my channel, right? So you've defined your niche a little bit more, you do tech videos, right? Within that tech video niche, which we have a lot of creators in Sri Lanka, right? You are defining, saying, okay, you're more towards drones, right? So usually when I give this exercise to creators, they get an idea, a sense of, okay, I can't put everything on my channel. This is what I'm good at. This is what I would enjoy doing. This is what's practical, because sometimes one video a week is difficult, right? Sometimes 2 videos every month is possible, once every other week, right? So this really helps you figure out, okay, this is where I start, right? Okay, so now that you know, okay, this is where I start, right? Do this exercise, trust me, it helps, right? The next big decision you have as a creator is naming of your channel, right? Another small disclaimer, guys and girls, I'm going to use the word YouTube repeatedly, but remember it's interchangeable with any platform that's video, right? Instagram used to be a picture sharing platform, but what is it now? It's a short form video platform, right? So all the advice I give to you in terms of video content applies to every platform, but I'm going to use the word YouTube for ease, right? Okay, so now that you've done that exercise, the next thing you do is name your channel. You can take 2 paths, right? Number 1, you can go with your name, right? For example, my channel goes under my name, right? However, that has its pros and cons. Biggest pro is it's your name, right? You have the flexibility and freedom to upload everything you want, right? And not be stuck to one very hard genre, right? However, the flip side of that is, at the outset, when someone sees your channel, when they search your channel, when they see your name, it's not immediately evident to them what is in that channel. For example, if my channel name is Janit Rodrigo, right? People have to click, right? Come in, watch a video to understand, okay, this is the content that's on this channel. Whereas, if you go with a generic name, if you create a brand like Travel with Wife, the word travel is in the name of the channel, right? You've done a big part of your SEO right from the naming of the channel. Anyone who's looking for travel content would be suggested a channel that has the word travel in it very fast before a channel with your name, right? Because that keyword is not there. However, in the long run, you are stuck in one vertical, right? So this is the flip side of that, right? If you have the word travel, right? If you have the word cook, right? You would obviously be stuck in that genre for the lifetime of that channel, as you see it, right? And also the next con is the fact that it's very saturated, right? Now, after Travel with Wife became popular, we have Travel with Everyone, right? So the word becomes very saturated, so it's sometimes hard to be discovered. So you can be creative, right? You can, without using the word cook, you can say, for example, fire, right? Or a synonym that matches, right? Without saying travel, you can say backpack. There are a lot of ways you can be creative. However, those are the 2 cons, right? So I've given you the pros and cons of both, going with your name or creating a brand name which is generic, right? So consider those, and based on your trajectory, right, based on where you want to see this channel go in the next 5 years, right, you can decide on the channel name. Right. Now that you have done the basics, right, you have picked a channel name, you know where to start, you know the genre of your channel, right? The next important thing you need to do is plan your content. And again, I have a small theory for this. Sorry. My theory, right, to plan your content is called the 3H model, right? In the 3H model, right, what I teach is you need at least 3 types of content for any video strategy to be successful, right? So again, like I said in the beginning, apply this to any video platform, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform you are on, you can apply this 3H model, right? So in the 3H model, right, you need to have 3 types of content to run a successful YouTube channel. Number 1, right, I'm going to teach you the easiest form of content to teach, right, which is called hero content, right? If you look at my graph right now, nothing much will make sense, right? But I will explain to you what these 3 types of content is and what this graph signifies, right? Okay. First type of content I'm going to teach you is hero content. In Sri Lanka, we call this viral videos, trending videos, right? All of that is synonymous to hero content, right? So hero content refers to any type of video that you upload, right, that suddenly becomes viral. You suddenly get views, right? You suddenly get subscribers, you suddenly get money, right? So if you go to my slide, right, this little graph, trust me, I hate graphs, but this one I love because it's very easy to teach how these content behaves when you upload it, right? So if you, this graph is your watch time graph, right? Usually on YouTube, you get your watch time graph. The vertical axis are your views, watch time, your subscribers, your revenue. All of that is your vertical graph because they're all related. The more views you get, the more subscribers you get, the more subscribers you get, the more revenue you get, right? So your vertical axis is that. Your horizontal axis is time, right? January, February, March, right? In this, you can see that hero content, as soon as you upload it, it becomes viral, right? Suddenly, your views shoot up, right? And along with it, your subscribers and your revenue suddenly shoots up, right? However, the key thing that you need to remember about hero content is, hero content has a very short expiry date, right? It's only viral, it's only popular for a very short period of time. It's needless to say, right, in Sri Lanka, we see a topic becoming very popular for a very short time, be it in society or online, which now is related, right? So always remember, hero content is amazing. It's great for you in the short term. However, as sharp as the valley is, as sharp as the hill is, the valley is also equally sharp, right? It will become popular, it will get you views suddenly, but the views will die off very fast and that video will not be watched again. For example, one of the most watched videos at a certain time on YouTube was the Red Bull Stratosphere video, right? Everyone watched it, right? It was a stunt, but no one's going back and watching it now except for a handful of people, right? So that video suddenly shoots up in views, but it'll die off, right? So very short expiry. So imagine now you are a creator who's only doing hero content, right? Suddenly you get views, you get subscribers in January, right? But even if you are very creative, right, in my experience, you can only do hero content once every so often, right? Once in 3 months, you might do a video that suddenly becomes that viral and gets millions of views, right? And if you only bank on hero content, right, in January, suddenly views will shoot up, right? February, March, nothing because you don't have a great idea or your videos don't work, right? No views, no subscribers, no revenue, right? Again, you have to wait until you do another hero content for you to get the views, get the subscribers, get the revenue, right? So that's a very ill-informed video strategy, right? But don't forget that hero content is important. A question I often get asked at this stage of my session is, okay, Aye, how do I do a viral video or a hero content, right? A hero content is dependent on two things. Number one, your creativity, right? I hope you have that. There's not a lot I can do in terms of that. But number two, there is a small trick to making sure your video has the best possible chance to become viral, right? That is, if there is a topic, right, if there is a keyword that is currently popular within your target audience, let's say, for example, you're creating content for Sri Lankans, right? And right now, there's a specific topic that is viral in society and online in Sri Lanka, right? And you use that keyword and do a piece of content, right? It's there in your title, it's there in your thumbnail, right? There is a chance that you can piggyback on the popularity of that topic, right? So if you do a content piece about something that is currently viral in society, viral online, there is a chance, there's a propensity of your content piece becoming viral, okay? So that's a small trick. But you must be very, very quick, right? Because, like I said, topics that are viral today is not something that's, relevant tomorrow because it expires. So you must act fast, right? Make it relevant to your genre, right? There are a lot of content creators who do comedy content who jump on an opportunity to do something regarding something that's civic, something that's current affairs related, something that's political, right? Because those are the topics that usually become viral in Sri Lanka, right? So always remember, there is a hack to doing hero content, right? Piggyback on something that's already popular. Make sure your content is creative. However, if hero content is all you're doing, right, you're going to suffer because some months you're going to have views, some months you're not going to. Which brings me to the second type of content, right? If you look at my slide, right, you see hub content. This is what your bread and butter is, right? Hub content is your regularly scheduled programming, right? In your channel trailer, if you did my exercise, right, you tell people, hi guys, I'm so-and-so, expect a new video every Thursday at 6 p.m. That is your hub content, right? Hub content usually doesn't get as many views as hero, right? But it is a very important type of content because that's your regularly scheduled programming. In my graph, you can see that there's a wave, right? So I'll explain that wave to you, right? In hero content, I told you, okay, as soon as you upload, there's a huge spike, right? But hub content, you don't have that spike, right? When you upload it, you get a certain amount of views, right? However, what happens? You upload a video this Thursday, you get views, right? As soon as the views are dying off for that video, what happens next? It's next Thursday, right? You upload another video. So that ensures that your channel has steady viewership, right? Because every Thursday you upload a video. As the views are dying for your previous video, you are uploading fresh content, right? And in that graph, you can see, right? If you do hero content every 3 months, every other month, right? Hub content perfectly circumvents that valley, right? So say, for example, you do an amazing video. Until you do another video that becomes really popular, your hub content keeps you going, keeps the channel health up, keeps your revenue coming, keeps your subscribers coming, right? And keeps your personality out there in front of your audience. So hub content is a very important type of content that you can't miss, right? So these two content types, usually I assume you've known on some level, right? You know trending videos, you know regularly uploaded blogs, right? The third type of content is the content type that most Sri Lankan South Asian creators miss out on, right? It's called hygiene content, but for ease of use, you can think of it as educational videos, right? Educational videos are what YouTube terms evergreen content, right? There's no expiry date on educational content. The best example I can give you, which YouTube has given in their handbook, is how to tie a tie, right? How to tie the tie knot. As long as humans are born, and we do this silly exercise called, wearing ties, someone will go and search for that video on how to tie a tie knot, right? So that kind of content does not expire, right? That video, if you go and check on YouTube right now, there might be a 7-year-old video that's getting like thousands of views still, right? So hygiene content or educational content is a very important type of content that you need to incorporate, right, into your content plan if you are going to become a successful content creator or a YouTuber, right? And if you look at my diagram, right, the slide, hygiene content is more or less a flat line on your view graph, right? Just because you upload a video saying how to tie a tie knot, people are not going to rush and watch it, right? They'll search for it when they need it. So usually on your view graph, it's a flat line, right? It gets steady viewership over a long period of time, and it does not die off, right? So these are the 3 types of content that you must have in order to have a successful channel, right? I can give you examples of these 3, right? Whatever genre you are in, right? Most of the time I get asked, okay, I do music, right? How do I do hygiene content, right? Or I am into civic topics or current affairs topics. How do I do hygiene content? Trust me, there are creators who do all 3 types of content across the board, right? Regardless of genre. And usually if you are stuck somewhere, say for example, you're stuck at the 5,000 subscriber mark and you can't go beyond. If you look at the content that you've uploaded over the past 3 months, right? And if there are only 2 types of these content in your content plan, then you know where you've gone wrong, right? This has, trust me, helped a lot of creators go past the 5,000 subscriber, 10,000 subscriber hurdle and go to the 100,000s easily because they incorporated all 3 types of content, right? And most of the time, the hygiene content is hiding within the content that you're doing, right? Just to give you an example, Travel with Wife, who's going to talk in a Sinhala session later on this afternoon, right? They were stuck at a certain subscriber level at one point. And when we looked at their content plan, it was very evident that they were doing hero and hub content only, right? So I advised them to do hygiene content, and that content was anyway within the sphere of what they were doing, right? So before they travel, right, obviously they pack a lot of cameras, right? How we pack a travel bag, right? That's a video they did, which got hundreds of thousands of views. How I edit my videos. Kasun anyway goes out travels, shoots it, comes and edits it, right? He did a video behind the scenes of how he edits their travel videos. Right? That's hygiene, educational content, just hiding within the things that he was anyway doing. So trust me, when you start content, right, your content creation, there will be educational content hiding within the content you're doing, right? Cool. Okay. Now that we've done two things. We've planned our channel, right, where we are starting. We've planned the content we are doing, right? Now I'm going to introduce a very important concept called clickbait, right? Usually we hear the word clickbait in a very negative connotation, but I'm going to hopefully show you that there's a positive connotation to clickbait, right? Like I told you before, right? Before I go into my next slides, I'm going to explain something very short, right? At the beginning of my session, I explained that YouTube is not a social media platform, right? If you look at YouTube right now, what you watch on YouTube, I ensure you are two types of content. One, the channels you get content suggested to you from the channels you have already subscribed. Two, YouTube, based on your consumption patterns, would suggest things on the YouTube homepage, right? That's the page that comes to you right when you open the YouTube app on your phone, right? Suggest things, and that's what you watch, right? So there's absolutely no social effect, right? Whereas on Facebook, on Instagram, right, you see content of people whom you know, right, who are sharing that content, right? But on YouTube, it's not the case. So always remember that YouTube is a video site, right? Getting your video in front of the audience you want is half the battle, right? There are sometimes videos that are done in 4K, edited amazingly on the best machines in the world, right? But if no one clicks your thumbnail, you lose, right? That's where things have come down to. In this grand scheme of things, your CTR, right, which is your click-through rate, has become king, right? I'm going to explain all of this, right? But this is very important that you understand this, because this can make or break your content, right? So your CTR, your click-through rate, is, to very simply put it, right, how many people YouTube show your thumbnail to, right? Say, for example, it shows your YouTube thumbnail and title to 100 people, right? And how many of that 100 click on that thumbnail is your CTR, the percentage, right? So, for example, if your YouTube thumbnail and title is shown to 100 people and 10 people click on that, right, your CTR or your click-through rate is 10%, right? Bringing this number up is the easiest way to get views, okay? I hope all this is clear, right? Increasing your CTR is the easiest way to get your viewership up, right? And how you do this is, unfortunately or fortunately, based 100% on your title and your thumbnail, right? You can have the best video in the world, but if your thumbnail is bad and no one wants to click on it, you lose, because no one has clicked to even see the amazing video that you've done, right? In this context, I have two pieces of advice, right? One, you must make the title of your video extremely catchy, right? Two, if you go onto your YouTube app right now on your phone, right, you will see that the text on the thumbnail is what you read even before the title of your video, right? So it's very important that the design of your thumbnail is perfect, and also the text on your thumbnail is correct, right? So how do you put a good title, right? I apologize, this is in Sinhalese, but I will explain it in English for you, right? So this is a small diagram, right? Again, I hate diagrams, but this is the simplest way to explain this concept, right, of how to put the best title for your video, right? In this diagram, your vertical axis is how much information is withheld in your title, right? And the horizontal axis is how misleading or how much curiosity does your title garner. Understood? Vertical axis is how much information is withheld, and horizontal axis is how much the user is, how much curiosity the viewer gets from your title, right? So let's take an example, the two extremes, right? Let's take the bottommost example, right? The title there is the functions of the digestive system, right? I don't think a lot of people will click on that title, right? It's a video about how our digestion system works, right? and the title of the video is the functions of the human digestive system. I won't click on that title, right? Why? One, it has given all the information out in the title itself, right? It says what this video has. There's absolutely no curiosity, right? So no one would click that. Number two, right? Light, reflection, and refraction, the scientific explanation, right? I don't think anyone would click on that title, right? Why? Because all of the information has been given in the most boring way possible. Let's look at an example from the other extreme, right? Take, for example, the red zone, right? A fact that 90% Sri Lankans are unaware of. Imagine a YouTube video with that title, right? A fact that 90% Sri Lankans are unaware of. There's absolutely no indication of what this video is. I mean, 90% of Sri Lankans don't know something. I mean, it could be anything, right? So you're completely misleading your audience. That's an unethical title, and that's what I call unethical clickbait, right? Those titles don't work. Most of the time, something like that would be flagged by YouTube or your other platform, right? Another example is a knife was given to a group of children. What happened next? You know, something that's completely unethical. Why? Absolutely misleading, right? It can be something else. It can be a kid cutting a carrot, right? But, you know, it's a misleading title. So your sweet zone, right? The perfect zone is that top right quadrant in this diagram, right? You must withhold enough information, garner enough curiosity without misleading your audience too much, right? Take these examples, right? Why do you get sleepy after eating milk rice or kiribat, right? I mean, usually a Sri Lankan would click on that, right? But that's the same title that I told you earlier, right? The human digestive system, how it works, right? Is that video, right? But it's a better title, right? Take the example of the next title. Why do test cricketers wear white, right? People who love cricket, people from Sri Lanka, people from our region would click on that title, right? Why do test cricketers wear white? But it's the same video as the light reflection and refraction, right? It's a better way of saying it. So understand that your title is key, right? So remember this diagram, right? When you're uploading a video, right? Plot on this diagram where you assume your title is, and that would give you an indication of, okay, is this a good title or not? Understood? Right, as my time is ending, I'm going to quickly run through one more important thing, right, which is, I've been harping on the fact that this thumbnail is very important, right? So there is another trick, right? YouTube has included this for most verified channels, but I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of someone starting new, right? If you don't have access to a verified channel, if you don't have access to all the tools that YouTube has given to A/B test, right? I'm going to teach you how to make the best thumbnail. Number one, don't make one thumbnail, right? Most of the time I see creators taking days to shoot, days to edit, a few minutes to do a thumbnail and be done with it. Don't do that. Now you know your thumbnail is even more important, right? Sometimes even more important than the video, right? So don't do one thumbnail for one video, right? Do at least 3, right? That's the procedure that a lot of YouTubers right now in Sri Lanka, popular ones, are following, right? Do at least 3 thumbnails and do this thing we call A/B testing. A/B testing is to check which of 2 visuals, creatives work in a marketing campaign, right? You can do the same thing with your YouTube channel. So my advice is create 3 contrastingly different thumbnails with contrastingly different titles for the same video, right? Upload your video with the first option, right? Keep it for about 2 hours, change it to the second option, keep it for about 2 hours, change it to the third option. During this process, if you look at my slide, you have in your Google Analytics this thing called real-time watch graph, right? You can look at this watch graph and see, right? When you upload a video, there's a small spike, right? Usually for every video, there's a spike, right? Over time, you will realize, okay, for my channel's potential, this spike is not enough, right? But in the beginning, use all 3 thumbnails, right? Within 2 hours of each, right? And see the spike on your real-time watch graph. You will notice for one thumbnail, the viewership spike is higher than the others. And that usually is an indicator that that thumbnail works, right? So upload your video with the first thumbnail option, keep changing, check which one worked best and keep that. That's your winner. So without next time just uploading a video on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, hoping to God it works, do this because that is backed by analytics. And you can actually see how many people are clicking your thumbnail, which one is resonating more with your audience. And that usually is an indicator of what thumbnail works, right? Okay, so I think I've covered a lot. I spoke fast. I hope it's okay. If you missed anything, don't worry. All these episodes will be uploaded on the Create Incubator YouTube channel. You can go and re-watch it, right? And I'm going to also reiterate, after me, Malinda Al-Hakon is coming, so he's going to teach some important concepts of content creation, right? But remember, after the online workshops, there is a final assessment for you, right? Based on your answers, you will be picked to the 50 cohort that would have access to the creators, the in-person event, and the grant, right? So stay tuned throughout the workshop, learn from these sessions, right? And if you have any questions, I will go into a quick break, right? You can send the questions on the chat, and I will come back after the break to answer your questions. Okay, I'm back. We have time for one question. So the question is regarding copyrights, right? This is a good question, and I'm sure copyrights will be covered later on in the other sessions as well, but I'll answer this specific question, right? What do you do, especially when you don't have access to copyright music? What do you do? One of the biggest problems on YouTube and all the other platforms right now is background music, right? Most of the time I see creators doing an amazing video, they shoot it themselves, but take a track, a piece of music that is not theirs, right? And they put it as the background track. And because of that, they get a copyright strike, right? So to avoid this, please make sure you use royalty-free music, right? There are multiple sites that give you access to royalty-free music, right? And YouTube itself has a music library that you can very safely use. It's a bit limited, but that's obviously the safest option, right? But if you want a varied option, you can always subscribe to a royalty-free music site or use a free music site. So make sure whatever you do, even if it's a small sound, right, a clip from a movie, right, there's a huge misconception that fair use policy applies widely, right? Fair use policy is you taking something that is under 1 minute and using it in your video. That is not possible. Even 2 seconds of someone else's video is copyright protected. It belongs to them. And if you use it, you can get a copyright strike. So the safest option, right, without going, I mean, copyrights is a separate workshop in itself, right? But if you are starting out, right, which most of you are, make sure whatever you upload either is your own, or you have permission to upload it from the original creator, or it's royalty free, right, which has the CC, the Creative Commons logo. So that's the best way you can safeguard yourself against copyright strikes. Right, guys, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the sessions, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.
Hello, people. Welcome to the next session. I'm Malin Dalahakon. So in this one, I'm planning to talk about the sense commandment. So primarily, all of you are here because you are interested in content creation. So we have to treat the content creation as a business. When you're treating a content creation as a business, you have to pay attention to a few business things rather than the content creation thing. I'm pretty sure that you have your creativity, you have your personal spark. But if you are not treating this thing like a business and pay attention to the business value of your entire operation, then at a certain point it will be a hobby rather than a business. So here I'm going to talk about a kind of a weird thing when it comes to content creation, but let's dig in. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be very helpful when you are planning to start a content creation operation. So this is what I call the sense commandment. The sense means 5 letters. It represents 5 different ideas. The C means control. The control means when you're starting a business, how much control you have. Like in most of the time, the content creation business, you don't really have much control over the platforms and the distribution and that kind of stuff. Like let's say you create some content and upload those as Instagram Reels. Then you have a TikTok operation, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is. You don't really have much control because you're uploading it to a standardized platform, and then the distribution algorithm is decided by the platform. You don't really have much control. So that's one aspect we have to pay attention to. Then the entry means when you're starting a business, again, it should be easy for you and it should be very difficult for other people. So we had to look at the aspects of entry in the content creation business. So again, I repeat, it should be easy for you. It should be difficult for other people. If it's easy for everyone, then everyone will do it, and the market will be really crowded. So we have to make the entry barrier. We have to pick something where the entry barrier is a little higher. Then we have need. So you pick something where you have tight control, and entry barrier is higher, and still there should be a market need as well. If you pick something which is where you have like really tight control, and then you have a pretty good pretty higher entry barrier, but still if there is no market need, I don't really see a point of doing it. You can do that as a hobby, but if you are doing that as a business, then we have to think again. So the need is also should be there. Then the other factor is time. Time means how much time you have to spend to run this content operation. So in some businesses, you do it by yourself initially, then you give that responsibility to one of your employee, a team member. So in content operation, most of the time it's pretty difficult, so we have to figure out a way to do these kind of things too. Then the scale, in the content operation, in the content creation, the scale is by default, it's there. So if we take a look at all of these aspects, so in content creation business, control is pretty bad, it's total poop. So we don't really have much control. We can create the content we need, but then we have to respond to the different platforms and their rules and regulation and their algorithmic suggestions and that kind of stuff. We don't really have much control in this business. Then the entry is also pretty bad because anyone with a smartphone, you don't even need a camera. Anyone with a smartphone can get an entry to this business, the content creation business. So it's also pretty bad, but the need is there. The content creation market is growing really fast. So every year we are seeing a double-digit percentage growth in content creation business. Currently, it's estimated about $100 billion is bigger than Sri Lanka's economy. So it's going to be $100 trillion business by 2030. I'm not really sure about that, but those are the projections. So it's rapidly expanding. So the need is there. At the time, as I said before, when you are running a content creation operation, most of the time you have to be there and you have to do lots of things by yourself. So the time multiplication factor is also pretty poop. So we have to treat that problem too. And the scale is already there. You create one video, that video could be viewed by 0 people or maybe million or maybe billions of people, who knows. So that scale is there. You do something and that thing can be consumed by a huge number of people. That scale factor is there. So in this speech, I'm going to give you a little tip on how to fix this problem. We have 3 different problems. We have control problem in content creation business. Then we have the entry problem, and we have the time problem. The control problem means we don't really have much control over our business because we are doing all of those stuff on someone else's platform. We can't solve this 100%, but we can do something about it at least. Then the entry barrier is pretty low. Anyone with a smartphone can enter the content creation business and thrive there. So we have to figure out a place where the entry barrier is a little higher. You can do it, but it's kind of easy for you, but it's very difficult for other people. So we have to pick something like that. Then the time multiplication factor. So we have to treat this like a workflow and try to outsource things, try to hire a team and that kind of stuff, how to manage that kind of stuff. Then we have to treat these three problems. So the plot twist here, in content creation business, control is lower, poop. Entry, anyone can do it. It's also poop. Time, you have to be there pretty much all the time and handle multiple things by yourself. It's also pretty poop. So we are going to twist this plot and we are going to gain control as much as possible. We are going to make the entry difficult for other people but easy for you, and you are going to multiply your time. So this is the strategy. So in YouTube, Instagram is not a very good example, but in TikTok, you are seeing that lots of people are trying to create educational videos to offer some kind of educational value to the audience. There are lots of opportunities here. So I'm seeing the Sri Lanka's biggest YouTubers, so they are offering a certain educational value educational and entertainment value, edutainment value through cooking. So cooking is a pretty big niche where you can create content, but the thing is, guys, you should be able to cook. You should have some understanding of cooking and the related knowledge. I can't do it, but some of you might be able to do it. And I am creating content about science and technology, specifically space, computer science, artificial intelligence, and that kind of stuff. It's pretty easy for me because I have a certain heritage about it. I have academic education, but it might be pretty difficult for you, and that's how we can solve that entry problem. Then faceless videos, that means you don't really have to get a camera and go in front of the camera. You are recording a voiceover. Maybe you'll be recording a AI-generated voiceover too, because they're getting pretty good as well. So I'm using AI-generated voiceovers for most of my projects. A couple of years ago, they were there, but not very good. So I used to go to Fiverr and get voiceovers recorded. It's not the case anymore. Then outsourcing. Outsourcing is also becoming pretty easy. You can have a fully remote organization, and you can ask your employees to be wherever they are, and they're working from home, but we can manage a fully remote organization. We call that a frog. How to do that, we'll discuss. Then we can have a subscription system. We can sell digital products. So this is the entire strategy. I'll dig into details. So the first one, the education content. The whole point of doing education content is to make the entry a little harder for other people. To do this thing, you have to understand some kind of unfair advantage you have that other people don't have. So what does that mean? Like, let's say you are a boxer. So now that you know lots of things about boxing, so you can create content about boxing, which I can't do because I'm not a boxer. So now that you have this unfair advantage, and you have a heritage, you playing boxing for 10 years, and you know lots of things about it, you have lots of experience about it, and let's say you are a pilot, then you can create content about aviation industry and the pilot's life. I can't replicate it, right? But if you are a pilot, you can do it. So if you look at your personal life, you can identify lots of unfair advantages you have. Maybe you are living in Silicon Valley, right? Let's say you are living in Silicon Valley and working for Silicon Valley tech company, then you are creating content around it. I can't replicate it because you have that unfair advantage. Or you are living in Switzerland, then you are creating content about Switzerland, educational content about Switzerland. You can't do it. And if you are living in Sri Lanka is a top tourist destination in the entire planet. You can create content, educational content about Sri Lanka, which are helpful for all the inbound tourists to Sri Lanka. So people who are not living in Sri Lanka can't replicate it. But let's add a little bit of ingredient, like little more ingredient there. Like let's say you are a tour guide or you run a boutique hotel, then you can take this to a next level. No other people can, like very few people can replicate it because you have this unfair advantage. So pick some kind of educational niche, because I'm asking you to pick an educational niche because the entertainment niche is getting so crowded. Lots of people are doing lots of freaking awesome stuff, and that market is getting so crowded and it's pretty difficult to stand out. But if you pick an educational content, educational niche where you can thrive and other people, it's pretty difficult for other people to replicate, then you have this unfair advantage and the entry barrier is naturally goes really high. Like let's say you are creating educational content about dancing. So, and it's getting lots of views and millions of views. And I am thinking that, okay, the dancing is really good. The creating educational content about dancing is really good. Can I do it? I can't do it because I don't know anything about dancing. So I can learn stuff about dancing, but that's going to take time. So that's the whole idea of making the entry barrier a little higher. So other people can't easily get in, but you can do it. For other people, it's pretty hard. So that would be the step number one. Pick some kind of educational niche. So when you're playing in this kind of educational niche, so first thing, you have to pick some kind of area where you can perform, where you have some kind of unfair advantage. And then you should have some kind of idea basket. So you have lots of ideas, lots of educational content creation ideas. Then you have to organize those things. I think Janit explained some stuff. So I'd like to use a different analogy. Then you can make these things a little easier. So you are trying to have a campfire. So in this campfire, when other people see the campfire, they will be attracted to it. So that's the whole idea. We are playing in this attention economy. So in the attention economy, we have to get the attention. To get the attention, we have to have a big fire, huge fire. To start a fire, you have to pick a place. So in that place, we don't really have a fire yet, but in that place, if you make a fire, then everyone else will see it. And for other people, it's pretty difficult to get into that spot and start a fire. So that's your unfair advantage. That's your area. It could be cooking, it could be traveling, sports, then mathematics, science, technology, space traveling. Somewhere you have expertise, but it's pretty difficult other people to get in. So that's your spot where you're going to have a campfire. To start a fire, you need a spark. Spark means you. Most of the time, you are adding some of your personal touch to this content. So then it's pretty difficult to replicate for other people because it's you, it's your flair, your spark, and your spark is going to ignite this fire. Then you should have some content where you think that lots of people will see it, general audience will see it. Then there are some content, the hardcore audience will see it. But you have to be super careful when you're starting the operation. You have to pay attention to this generic content where lots of people will see it. Otherwise, if you produce content which are very heavy, we call those things logs, you throw logs to fire and you try to start the fire, it's going to be pretty difficult. But if you use, if you are trying to kindling the tinder, like you put some little bit of stuff there, then it's pretty easy to ignite with your spark. Then you have a little fire, then you throw a log into it, then the log will catch fire. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty difficult. So when you're planning content, first try to create content which are not super deep, appealing to the lots of people. Then when you gather some people, when you build some audience, then you can throw big stuff, big guns, or the hero contents. So that's the idea of having educational content. Whole point is make the entry barrier a little harder for other people, but it should be easy for you. So you have to pick your unfair advantage. Maybe you are cooking for 10 years. Maybe you are playing football for, I don't know, 5-10 years. Or maybe you are learning machine learning, artificial intelligence for like 15 years like me. So then you have unfair advantage. It's pretty difficult for other people to replicate. Then the faceless videos. The faceless video trend is growing really fast. So this thing is happening because, the faceless video, when I look at the numbers, I saw 9,500% growth post-COVID. So what does that even mean? 9,500% means like what? 95 times, 95x growth post-COVID. That means there are people who are so much interested in watching faceless videos, and they're engaging with faceless videos. So, and when you do this thing, something super interesting happens. When you're doing faceless video, you have to get your phone, and your phone has a really good microphone. So if you're using an iPhone or some Samsung phone, really good microphone, you find a quiet environment, you can record a voiceover. On top of the voiceover, you can stack different media, images, and videos, and some little bit of animations maybe. You can use CapCut to compose that kind of video. And then you can put it forward to different platforms. So that market is growing really fast. So 9,500%, we don't really see this kind of growth in lots of areas. So by doing that, you are adding a little bit of need to this video, and the entry is getting easier because now that you don't really have to deal with cameras, lights, and that kind of stuff, you have to record a voiceover. But still, the entry is still harder because you are creating educational content. But when it comes to the production, for you it's easiest. I think it's a sweet deal. So the faceless video is something that you have to pay attention to. So growth is there. The entry barrier, when it comes to production, it's a little easier, but still you raise the bar by picking educational niche. Then people, the outsourcing. Now that we pick educational content, we are going to do faceless video. By the way, guys, you don't really have to do faceless videos all the time. If you're thinking that you can go in front of the camera, be super comfortable with the camera, like the way I do this thing here, go ahead and record yourself, because that's going to give you a different advantage. Your spark, your personal spark is going to be there in those videos. So it's pretty nice. So, but if you want to plan this as a business, and if you look at the numbers, then you have a really good reason to go with faceless videos. Now that we solved two different problems, entry, how did we solve the entry problem? We pick some kind of educational niche where you have expertise and other people it's pretty difficult to replicate. Then you raise the entry barrier. And by picking faceless videos, we make production a little easier. By the way, the production is easier when you are recording voiceover, but in the edit, it's going to be difficult again. So if you try this thing, you'll figure out if you record a talking head, like this kind of, if you use a camera and talk to camera, then edit is going to be much easier. But if you are going to record a voiceover and then do a editing composition on top of it, it's a little difficult. So entry is still super high. Not everyone can replicate it. Then if you are doing faceless videos, the things that you are doing is going to be minimum. Just think, at a certain point, you will be able to hire a researcher, scriptwriter, voiceover artist, and a video editor. Then just imagine, then your role would be a managerial role. You don't really have to involve for this content creation business, so it's running basically on autopilot. And if you consolidate some roles like researcher and writer, and you use some kind of advanced artificial intelligence voiceover generators, then that's also outsourced to a machine, not to a human. Then you get an editor. With just two people, researcher, writer, and editor, you can run a whole operation. And you don't really have to be there. You can set it up. So then we are introducing this time multiplication factor also to this thing. And scale is also there. We are adding a little bit of scale because faceless videos igniting really fast. Then now that we solved the time problem, we solved the entry problem, the scale was already there now, but we increased that a little bit. Guys, I learned this thing from Elon Musk. Elon Musk once explained, if you are going to outsource something and if you are going to treat something as an engineering process, you have to pay attention to 5 different steps. So the first one is you have to make the requirement less dumb. If you are running any kind of content creation operation, in this content creation operation, you have to make the requirement less dumb. That means, why are we doing this? Why are you running a content creation business? So you have to get clicks, you have to get watch time. Or if you are on Instagram Reels or TikTok, then you simply have to get watch time. So you have to create videos that people want to watch and they keep watching. Then you are racking up more watch minutes and watch hours. Make the requirement less dumb. So that's what you want. If you are on YouTube, people should click on the thumbnail and title, and clicking on the thumbnail and title is not good enough. So you over-engineer the thumbnail and the title, or we call that the packaging. People click on it, but still you're not getting enough watch time, then we are in a pretty bad place. So to solve this problem, we can use the thumbnail tester tool in YouTube. If you're already uploading videos to YouTube, you can upload 2-3 different thumbnails and pick the best one. The best one is not the one people who click on the most. The best one is the one who people click on the most and watch the most too. So the thumbnail which is giving you more watch time is the best thumbnail according to YouTube standards. So try that tool. Make the requirement less dumb. Then you have a certain workflow. So let's say you are creating talking head videos like me. You get a camera, lights and stuff, and talk to the camera and talk to the audience through a camera. Then you need a camera. Then you need lights. Then you need various different stuff. I'll give you a very simple example. So when you're using these kind of cameras, those cameras got a battery. The batteries die. And in this kind of advanced cameras, batteries die really fast. So what are we going to do? We can have a battery and a charging station. When the battery goes dead, then we unplug it. Then we put that in a charging station, and now that you have a serious idling time. To how to solve this problem, you get 2 batteries. Now the one battery is charging, one is in the camera. Or I want to make this process super simple. So what I can do is I delete the battery. So delete the battery, what does that mean? Then you don't really have to charge the battery. But how to power the camera? You can get an external power supply. In usual consumer level cameras, the one I use, have dummy batteries. You plug the dummy battery in, and then you plug the thing into a power socket. Then now that you don't have a battery, you don't really have to worry about the charging, battery swapping, or anything. Then if you plug that thing into a power brick, power bank, then you plug the power bank to the wall power. Now what? If power goes off, you can still save the clip. It's actually acting as a UPS for your camera. See, I delete the battery. Now that I don't really have to worry about the battery. And you have SD cards in your cameras, so you have to transfer footages. What if you pair your camera through Wi-Fi to your computer as you record? It's transferring all the footage to a given folder in your computer. Now that you don't really have to worry about SD card. SD card is there, but all the file transferring is happening automatically. Try to delete all the possible steps in your engineering process as much as possible. So that's super important thing. Like let's say in this setup, there is a light here, and as an engineer, I'm trying to make this light perfect angle, perfect softness, and perfect intensity. But what if that light shouldn't be there? We don't need that light. In that case, what's the point of me optimizing that light? First thing you should do is get rid of it. So then you can pay attention to your actual problems, which is the next step. Now that you have a clean process and all the unnecessary steps are deleted, all the remaining steps are mandatory. And actually, Elon Musk once said that when you're deleting these steps, how to figure out that we are deleting enough. Sometimes, like at a certain point, I delete this light. I don't need it, I get rid of it. But maybe tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I feel like, oh, damn, I need this light. Then I get it back. If you are doing it, then you have deleted enough. Then you have a clean process. All the necessary mandatory components are there in your content creation workflow. Then you have to optimize it, make things simpler. So when I'm editing videos, so if you have seen my channel, so I have lots of media. Images are sliding from here, like the text are sliding here. So to design those animation, it's time consuming. It's time consuming. I figured out a way to optimize those things. Back in the days, what I did was I edit all the talking head part, the camera part in the Adobe Premiere. Then to design all of those animations, I take everything to Adobe After Effects. To do that, in Adobe and After Effects, the Adobe Creative Suite system, we have this thing called dynamic linking. So I used dynamic linking. The result was pretty good, but the process was pretty complicated. But later on, I figured out that there are plugins for Adobe Premiere itself. Now that I don't really have to open After Effects, I can delete the After Effects from my workflow. I can do everything, pretty much everything, in Adobe Premiere, and that actually cut down hours and hours of my editing time. So optimize it. Then, now that you have a straightforward requirement, what you really need, you need clicks and watch time or watch time and positive engagement from the audience. Then you delete all the unnecessary parts from your workflow. Then all you have, what you have remaining is all the necessary components. Then what are we going to do? We optimize them, make them simplify, optimize, simplify. Once you do that, you should learn to go faster. So how to do that? We call that the accelerating the cycle time. So to accelerate the cycle time, my personal rule of thumb is, like, let's say I'm going to do a research and write a script for a specific video. I have allocated 6 hours for it. I keep that as a hard rule. So I spend that 6 hours to write the script or do the research and write the script for that video. Okay, let's say in some cases I'm going to need like 6 hours, but either way, let's say then altogether 18 hours. Either way, after the end of that 18 hours, whatever the script I have, I accept it. But in the next project, I try to do more than that within that 6 or maybe 18 hours. So at the end of 6 hours, whatever I have, I accept that as the output most of the time. Sometimes, like, I break this rule, but 80% of the time I stick to this rule. Then next time, I try to increase my efficiency and come up with a better script within that 6 hours. So you should try that, like, go faster, accelerate the cycle time. In editing, usually to complete an edit, if I need 6 hours, then I actually try to do more within that 6 hours and try to cut that down by maybe 20% and check whether I can do that within 5 hours. So when you save time within that 6 hours, you can do more. So you should learn to go faster. So to do that, I got a very different mouse, a very different keyboard, different monitor setup. So all of those things happen very slowly across the time. So I call that the aggregation of marginal gains. Slight improvement. You know, the iPhone 10 came, then iPhone 11, 12, now that we have 16. In every iPhone, we have like, 10% increment, 15% increment in processing power. But if you compare the iPhone 16 to iPhone 10, the difference is like day and night. It's a huge difference. So you should also do the same. Aggregation of marginal gains. Do tiny changes and try to go a little bit faster. But with the time, if you maintain this mindset, you'll go really fast. Eventually, you should automate it. Now that you have a simple requirement, less dumb requirement, clicks and watch time, and the positive engagement, and you have a simplified process, you deleted all the unnecessary stuff in your workflow, then you try to optimize those things as much as possible, then you learn to go really fast, and then you should outsource it or automate it. So most of the time, actually Elon Musk once mentioned, when he was explaining about this process, most of the people try to hire someone and automate the process. Then they try to go faster. Then they try to optimize it. They're actually trying to do those things in reverse. If you do that, most of the time, everything will fail and you have to delete the whole thing, the whole operation. So go forward. Make the requirement less dumb. Simple requirement. In content creation, most of the time it's clicks and watch time and positive engagement. And delete all the unnecessary parts and optimize the process and try to go faster and faster. and then you can automate it. So keep those things in mind too. And people. Now that we have solved lots of problems, entry problem, we fixed it by making entry barrier a little bit difficult for other people, but easy for me. I am creating content about machine learning and space traveling because I've been studying those stuff for some time, especially machine learning. So if you try to create content about machine learning, it's going to be kind of difficult for you. I'm not saying it's impossible. You can learn machine learning and create content about it, but it's easy for me because I can connect all that's very easily because I have a certain heritage. But maybe you are a music teacher, so you can teach music and create content about music education. So I can't replicate it because I don't know anything about it. So make the entry barrier harder for you, easy for you, harder for everyone else. So that's number one. Then we save time by outsourcing faceless videos. And then we have to get control, little bit of control of it. By doing all of those previous stuff, we solve the entry problem, we solve the time problem, the time multiplication problem. By now, we can actually create a content creation operation. We can set up a content creation operation. You only have to monitor it. Your researcher, your writer, voiceover artist, and your editor is taking care of it. So all you have to do is do a little bit of management and monitoring here and there. So we solve the time multiplication problem, entry problem. Now that we had to solve this control problem. So how to solve the control problem? People, we have to do different stuff rather than uploading videos to distribution platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So one thing that you can do is you can start a subscription business. If you are doing a subscription business, that means you are asking your audience to pay a little subscription, and for them, you produce some kind of exclusive content. What does that mean? So I'll tell you what I do. So I have a Patreon page. In my Patreon page, I have a tier called Tech Tracker. So you can subscribe to that one. If you subscribe to that one, you can join our Discord server, which is exclusive, right? Then every week, usually on Saturdays, which is today, by the way, usually on Saturdays, 9 p.m., we do a little Zoom meetup and we share ideas. But to do all of those stuff, you have to be in this subscription. So this thing is actually taking the control a little bit away from the YouTube and other platform, and it's going to introduce you a new revenue stream too. So now that we are getting a little bit more control. And I have another subscription tier called Level Up. In Level Up, what we do is every month I invite some resource person, a unique resource person, and do a Zoom session for like 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours. If you want to get access to that, you have to get that subscription level. See, like now that we have multiple sources of revenue, and we are offering a value to the audience as well, and we are taking the control a little bit away from those traditional distribution platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Now that we have a different platform where you have little better control. The control is never going to be perfect, whatever you do, but little better control. And to take all of those things into the superb level, the maximum level, the unicorn level, what you can do is you can sell a digital product. What does it mean by a digital product? You are selling some kind of educational service, maybe a training program or course or something like that to your audience. Now that you have an audience, and part of your audience is already paying you a subscription too in a different platform. I recommend Patreon, or you can try Buy Me a Coffee too, or you can set up your own platform, own website. But if you are running a digital product, you can set up a website, your own website, and you have to create some kind of valuable digital product. When you're doing this kind of stuff, the most important thing is you have to pay a little attention to this value proposition. What does it mean by a value proposition? So let's make this thing super simple. Let's make this thing super simple. Let's say you are baking bread. You have a bakery. And in this bakery, you are baking bread and selling that bread for 150 rupees. And some of you come to my bakery and buy my bread, and you feel like you got a really good deal. You feel like this bread is bread worth like 200 rupees, but you got it for 150 rupees. So you feel really nice because you think that you got a 50 rupee deal. But from my end, I actually produced that bread by spending, my production cost was like 100 rupees. So I also have 50 rupee profit. And you also feel like you got a 50 rupee discount. So we should create that kind of digital products. So to do that, you have to do all the previous step I said, like deleting all the unnecessary parts, cutting the cost, optimize it, outsource it, all of those things. When you come up with this kind of digital product, for educational content creator, most of the time this would be some kind of educational service. You can create an educational program and host that on different platforms like Skillshare, Udemy, or you can do that on your own platform. So by combining education, faceless videos, outsourcing, and subscription model using a platform like Buy Me Coffee or Patreon, and then digital products, then what are we really doing here? Then by doing all of those stuff, we are getting entry. We are making the entry really hard for other people. We are making the entry really easy for us. For that, we have to pick an unfair advantage. If you like to dig into the unfair advantage, there's a book called Unfair Advantage. I strongly recommend you to read it. It has this thing called Miles framework. You should look into this because some people got so much money. So some people don't have money. Then people who got money, they can unlock certain things with their money. That's how things are working. So that's the M in Miles framework. Some people got intelligence. Some people got a different location and luck. Some people got different education and expertise. And some people got a status. So you should look into this Miles framework. Then you can figure out your unfair advantage and put that thing into content creation. Then you can make the entry easy for you and difficult for others. That's why we pick educational content creation. By picking faceless educational content creation, what we basically do is we still keep the entry barrier high, but still you are making the production little easier and it's outsourceable. You can outsource it to someone else. By outsourcing, you are multiplying your time. So by education, content creation, faceless, and outsourcing, you can basically solve multiple problems. Entry is higher, you can multiply time, and you can increase scale. And then at a certain point, you will have a managerial position, managerial role. You have a researcher, scriptwriter, voiceover artist, and editor, and they are running the whole operation. Once that one is running smoothly, you can start another channel if you want. Or you can consolidate those roles and researcher and writer. And you can actually outsource the voiceovers to, as I said before, AI voiceover generators. There are pretty good ones like Try 11 Labs. It's actually doing production-ready voiceover generation. It's really nice. Then you have editor. Then they are running the entire operation. So you can do a managerial role and you can put your creative thinking to start another project like that. So we are solving the entry problem, time problem, and the scale problem, and we are taking the scale to next level. Then subscription. So you have a huge fan base, then small proportion of your fan base might like to pay you certain amount of money and give them that opportunity using Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee or some kind of platform. Then once you do that, you have a hardcore fan base and you are producing exclusive content for them, eventually digital product. So when you do this, you are offering some kind of educational content to the audience and they purchase it and you can scale it like crazy. And people, the best part is, so I'll tell you how I do it. I have a Patreon page. And I have lots of people who are subscribing to my exclusive content. So I have this training program called Video Machine. In Video Machine training program, I'm talking about how to set up a video creation workflow from ideation to research to and script writing to voiceovers or talking head, the entire workflow. So then this is my digital product. So I sell this digital product to audience. Then now that I recently started this, now that I'm starting the third batch. So I recently started this, so that actually gave me this. I was thinking like I should share this knowledge with you too. So if you are creating educational content, these things are getting unlocked for you. So what? Educational content creation, and you try to go faceless. I don't really do it. It's not a must. But if you do that, then you don't really have to be there all the time. So you can outsource it. Then you outsource the whole thing. Then you start a subscription business. Then you sell a digital product. Then we solve all the sense commandment. So final step is selling some kind of digital product, which I recently started. So once we do all of those stuff, all the sense commandment are satisfied in the entire business. Now that you have much better control, you're uploading content to all of those platforms, that's taken care of. Then you make the entry very hard for other people, but super easy for you. Then the need is always there in content creation business. Then you try to introduce the time multiplication by outsourcing it, and then you increase the scale by introducing subscription and digital product, and you introduce more control by introducing subscription and digital product. So people, once we do all of those things, we satisfy the sense commandments of a digital content creation business. So if you pay attention to these stuff, and if you have a solid roadmap, and you can eventually go there, and you can't do this like really fast, because it's a slow process, but you should try to accelerate this as much as possible. So then, you can set up a solid business. And people, I gave you a book recommendation before, which is The Unfair Advantage, and I strongly recommend you to read this book, The Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco. Actually, I got this idea of sense commandment, control, entry, need, time, and scale from that book. So I strongly recommend you to read it and dig deep. Then the M.J. DeMarco is actually explaining how to run a business and how to reach your first million and how to do it fast. And if you do it fast, and then you can start another thing. So strongly recommend you to read this book. That's where I got this idea. So people, I'll sum up all the things that I said before. So when you have questions, so you can structure your questions better. So what we are trying to do is, first we have to understand the fact that the content creation business is so good. The need is there. There's a huge market. $100 billion market is there. But the problem is we had to use the standardized distribution platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, and stuff like that, where we don't really have much control. So all the rules are set by the platform, and all the suggestion algorithms are run by the platform. So we have to comply. We don't really have much control. So we want to solve that problem. And the entry is usually super easy. So anyone with a smartphone can create content and upload to all of those platforms. Actually, TikTok is making things a lot easier, giving you much better creator tools. So if you have a smartphone, and if you have something to show for, you can start a content creation business. So the entry barrier is lower, and the need is there. And time, you have to be there by yourself. So people, we had to fix that problem. Then the scale is already there. Then we needed to accelerate the scale. So what we did was, we pick educational content. Why? Educational content are hard to replicate, because you have that education, you have that expertise. Maybe I don't have it. So I know that your content creation business is going really nice. It's flying colors. But I'm getting inspiration from you. But you are a pilot. You are creating content about aviation industry, which I can't do because I'm not a pilot. So you are making the entry barrier high. Then by producing faceless, at least try to produce faceless videos, you are keeping the entry barrier high by producing educational videos, but you are making the production less easy and less involving by making faceless videos. And faceless videos, there's a huge demand too. Then, once you have all of those things, you try to outsource all of those things. To outsource things, I give you 5 rules by Elon Musk. So then when you outsource everything, I have identified 4 major roles in this kind of operation. You have a researcher, and you have a writer, the script writer, then you have a VO artist, the voiceover artist, and a video editor. Or at some point, like maybe in some cases, you can consolidate some roles like researcher and writer. I do that a lot. Then voiceovers can be generated using advanced AI tools. And again, you have to look at the cost. Most of those AI voice generators are expensive. And most of those things are not production ready. But you can try tools like Levin Labs and Murph and that kind of tools. They're pretty good, but a little expensive, but still pretty good. You can outsource it to a machine. Then when you have an editor, you can set up a whole system, and the system is running for you. And then you can have a subscription system. And when you have a subscription system, you're asking your audience to subscribe to exclusive content. Lots of YouTubers have recently started doing it. Then you can sell a digital product. By doing all of those things, we get the control to the maximum level. So read this book, people. And the final thing, the final advice is, in content creation business, you have to figure out what kind of unfair advantage you have. Most of the time, we don't really pay too much attention to this thing because like I have seen lots of people complaining that, okay, I don't have money, you have money, so you can afford the best camera, best mic, and best lighting, so I can't do it. I agree. Yes, you can't do it because you don't have money. Maybe you have a phone and you are living in a very specific location in Sri Lanka, like let's say Mimure. You can create lots of content about Mimure, which I can't do, regardless of the cameras, lights, and mics I have. So that's your unfair advantage. You have the location and the luck factor. And maybe you are a really tall person and you are playing basketball, so you have a certain expertise about basketball. I can't do it. So you have to figure out those unfair advantage and put that thing into your content creation operation and pick your campsite accordingly, and then slowly build the fire. When the fire grows, everyone will see it. Lots of people will come near your camp, and we are in the attention economy. We always monetize the attention. And this is pro tip or bonus tip. So, by the way, I couldn't do this one yet, but most of the common people, I mean the general people, like day-to-day people, they don't understand how this attention economy works. So most of the time in the attention economy, the good attention and bad attention is treated equally. But if you try to get the bad attention by doing negative marketing, then your credibility goes down, specifically in education field. Like let's say you do something crazy and you are getting lots of attention, but you are getting attention but not respect, we have a problem. So I recommend you to stay out of that kind of stuff, because if your credibility goes out in this educational content creation business, then it's pretty hard to build back. So always try to be authentic and always try to be transparent and follow the rules. And that's the most important thing, follow the rules and be authentic. And negative marketing, sometimes it happens, but the negative marketing is working not the way most of the people think. Like let's say you are saying something negative about me, but if I am truly negative, then that's going to damage my credibility. But if you are spreading some negative news about me, but I'm not a negative person, I'm a law-abiding citizen, then through that negative marketing, lots of people come to me and see the fact that I'm a valuable, law-abiding Sri Lankan citizen. That's negative. That's actually true negative marketing, which is pretty hard to set it up. Sometimes it'll happen, then face it. But when you are running education, content creation business, try to keep your credibility high. When you are be authentic. And when you're creating educational content, it's hard. Like you have to fact check lots of things, curate lots of sources, and put specific information from all of those things and connect dots. So that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So you have to practice it, then it's pretty difficult for other people to replicate it. So people, that's all the information I had to give to you. Then we'll take a short break. During the break, you can send all the questions, and our team will curate all the questions that you are sending through different platforms and send it to me. After this teeny break, I'll answer all the questions that you have put forward. Okay, people, we are back. And I got all the questions curated. It's right here. The first question is, how can a small content creator with limited resources effectively apply the Sense framework to grow their audience? So, to explain that, if you remember, I told you that the entire process of outsourcing. So, in Sense, first you have to get the control. Then you have to make the entry harder. Like, let's say, you don't have any kind of presence on social media and you're starting new. So, make the entry harder. What you really should do is you have to find your unfair advantage, some kind of unfair advantage. Maybe you are living in Maldives. Unfair advantage, right? You can create lots of contents about Maldives, targeting all the people who are not in Maldives. I can't replicate that. Maybe your videos are getting thousands and millions of views. I can't replicate it. So even if you are a small content creator, shooting all the videos with a phone and all the available resources you have, you can do that thing. You can make the entry harder for other people and super easy for you because you are living in Maldives. That's exactly what I do. I was interested in space traveling, computer programming, machine learning for what? For like 20 years. So for me, talking about those things is super easy. So, but it might be super difficult for you. So that's why I picked this. So that's the value of picking the educational niche. Then the need is already there. Then the time when you do this, I told you that you can't do all of those stuff at once, but you should keep this stuff in your mind. Now that you make the entry harder and you're doing all the stuff by yourself and you try to make the requirement less dumb, get more clicks, more watch time, and you try to delete all the unnecessary steps from your workflow. When I started my YouTube channel, I had a green screen, but at a certain point I figured out that I don't really need a green screen. I replaced the green screen with a white screen. Lots of things will be, I deleted the green screen. So you delete all the unnecessary parts. Then all the remaining steps you optimize to the maximum level. Then you can handle these stuff yourself by accelerating it, make it faster. And when you're generating a certain revenue, you can start outsourcing. So you can slowly start doing all of those things. If you are a small content creator or you are planning to be a content creator in the future, keep those things in mind. Try to go to that direction. So keep all of those things in mind. So even before I outsource all my video editing stuff, so I had a solid process to transfer files and sync files and all of those things. Maybe like, let's say my video editor is living in another country. So I had a solid plan to outsource all those footages, how to do it, how to manage the bandwidth and all of those things. So you should have a plan to apply the sense commandment, the control, entry, need, time, and scale from day one. Then when your operation is ready to get more control and go for a subscription model, then you have a solid plan. Then your operation is ready at a certain point, maybe after a couple of years, when your operation is ready to sell a digital product and get more control, then you have a solid plan. So that's how a small content creator can start applying sense commandments. Do it slowly. You can't do all of those stuff at the same time, but have a plan. Be prepared to do all of those things when the time is ready. Then the next question is, with the rapid rise of AI tools, how can outsourcing be balanced with maintaining a unique brand voices and content quality? All right. This is a classic problem. Like, let's say you are using 11 labs and you are trying to maintain a certain, let's say, I'll be specific to the voiceover generation. The voice that you pick might be picked by thousands of other people. So then it's everywhere. So one thing that you can do is, if you are paying so much attention to this uniqueness, you can generate your own voice. You can clone your own voice in 11 labs. Actually, I tried that because when I'm recording voiceovers, so I had to get the mic ready, environment ready, and I had to do some editing. But if I clone my voice once and keep that thing in 11 labs or MRF, then all I had to do is simply upload the script, and then it's reading the script in my voice. So you can try that thing. And when you're outsourcing, so you have to maintain your brand identity. So the answer is super simple. I gave you the Elon Musk 5 steps. So first, make the requirement less dumb, super simple. Delete all the unnecessary stuff. Still you are doing all of those stuff by yourself. Then you make the process super optimized and accelerate the cycle time. You are doing all of those stuff by yourself still. Then you automate. Then the entire process is already set to maintain the brand identity. Like if you go to my YouTube channel and take a look at all the videos, at a certain point, I gave the edit to an external editor, right? Can you figure out that point? I'm pretty sure that you can't, right? Because I set up a solid process, then I hand it over to the editor. No one would notice it. So follow those 5 steps, Elon Musk's 5 engineering steps in the proper sequence, not the other way around. If you want to start a YouTube channel and you hire an editor and you let the editor do its work and you try to accelerate it, optimize it, then you probably have to fire him and delete the whole process. Do it yourself first. Make the requirement super simple. Delete all the unnecessary workflow steps and all the unnecessary stuff. Optimize it, accelerate it, and then hand it over to an editor or some kind of other professional. Then you can maintain your brand identity. Then the last question, what strategies would you recommend for a creator who are hesitant to adopt the faceless video trend due to concern about authenticity and audience trust? My recommendation is super simple. Don't do it. If you are super comfortable going in front of a camera, I do that all the time. I'm doing that right here. So I don't really have much problem going in front of a camera, face a camera, and talk for 1 hour, which I did right now, right here. So if you are like me, do it. And your question is saying that it's about your authenticity and the audience trust. That's a really good point. When you're going in front of camera and talking to a camera like this, you can actually put yourself forward and you can add your personal spark to the content. If you're comfortable doing it, but you have to understand the repercussions as well. Because like let's say in my YouTube channel, I want to outsource everything. Can I do it? I can't do it because I have to go in front of the camera and talk to the camera. I can actually outsource the research, script writing, and editing, but I can't outsource this production part. So if you want that level of outsourcing capability, then go faceless. But if you value authenticity and audience trust more, then go in front of a camera and talk to the camera. But there's a catch. I'm watching this. I'm watching a couple of faceless YouTube channels like Cold Fusion, Astrum, Economic Explained, and a couple of and Cruise Gazette. All of those are faceless YouTube channels. In those YouTube channels, they are maintaining the authenticity and the audience trust based on an in-depth research and really well-composed script. So we can't see the creator. Real engineering is a classic example. We can't see the content creator, but we feel the creator through the script and the research and depth of it. So you can maintain the authenticity and the audience trust through that kind of things rather than being in front of a camera. So think about that too. All right, that's all the questions I have, people. I hope you enjoyed this session, and we have more sessions lined up for you. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening.
I'm Tessara Iddamagura. I'm just going to share my screen. Give me a second. Okay. I'm just going to take you through what we're going to go through for these 60 minutes. First, I'm going to give you guys an introduction. Then I'm going to take you through Instagram versus YouTube, the difference. Actually, let me start with this presentation is going to be how to transition from Instagram to YouTube. Then I'm going to go into Instagram versus YouTube. And then I'm going to go into how to transition. Then I'm going to talk about how to manage different social media platforms. I'm going to give some tips based off of my learnings and some of the mistakes I've made and how I've learned from those. Then we're going to do a little wrap up and just the key takeaways from all the points discussed, and then Q&A. So just to give you a little bit of an introduction, Just to give you a little bit of an introduction, I am a content creator. I also run a creative agency called Creates, which started in June of this year. Prior to this, I studied banking and financial management at Monash University. And then I worked as a business analyst for a year and a half. And then I left my job to pursue content creation full time. So right now I am an Instagrammer, YouTuber, and a TikToker. I got onto YouTube from having Instagram and TikTok for about 2 years, early this year, in around April. Today, I have around 22,000 subscribers, and I have posted around 20 YouTube videos. So I'm going to talk about transitioning from doing predominantly short form content into moving into long form content. For me personally, the switch was from English content to Sinhala content, and the audience was also completely different. So I'm going to touch on all of those points. If I can just share my screen again to show you, just to go through some of the key differences between Instagram and YouTube. So a lot of you know Instagram and YouTube, the differences. I don't have to go into detail, but if I can just highlight the main things, the things that are like noteworthy is obviously that Instagram is a social media platform and YouTube is a video streaming platform. So with Instagram, you can text, you can talk to people. There's a lot more personal engagement. There's a lot more like you can have groups, there are DMs, all of that. You can chat. So it's a social media platform, whereas YouTube is a video streaming platform. So YouTube is also close to platforms like Netflix and stuff, whereas Instagram is solely a social media platform. In terms of content type, everybody kind of understands, but there has been a shift now that YouTube also does or also allows short form content. So that's something to note. Aspect ratio, we know about that. Product quality, there's also been a shift there. I think now the quality is kind of coming to, it's almost becoming equal, but YouTube allows much more high resolution content. So that's one key difference. But with YouTube Shorts, now literally anybody and everybody can earn YouTube revenue and grow following on YouTube. In terms of monetization, that's a key difference, and it's something that is important to creators like us. In terms of monetization, on Instagram, you earn predominantly through sponsored ads and brand promotions, where brands pay you. And in terms of monetization with YouTube, you can earn through brands promoting you and through brands featuring on your videos, but mostly through YouTube revenue. Actually, it depends on the creator, but YouTube in itself will pay you based on like ad playthroughs. In terms of the algorithm, the Instagram and YouTube algorithm are similar but also different. In terms of the Instagram algorithm, it keeps changing quite often, but mostly people that see your videos are your own audience. And then if your video is good enough, or if your content piece is good enough, it will show on an explore feed. With YouTube, you are featured among other similar creators, and YouTube pushes out your video depending on how well your video is doing on someone's homepage. That's kind of what the difference is. What's similar is that your own audience will see your video as well, but with YouTube, the homepage kind of just carry your video forward. Posting frequency, I would say, is also coming to a very, like, they're both very even now because of YouTube Shorts. But with the longer form content, I guess the posting frequency is relatively lower than with Instagram because you're asking your followers for a longer period of time. Then if we go into Instagram, and if you go into transitioning, so that was Instagram versus YouTube. Then if we go into transitioning from Instagram to YouTube, I'm going to go through some of these questions. Does it help to be fluent with Instagram content creation when you're getting on YouTube? Hold on, let me stop the screen sharing. Okay, so does it help to to be fluent with Instagram content creation when you get started on YouTube? I would say yes and no. Yes, because it's good to have a background in video editing, and Instagram sometimes gives you that. There are some people that rely heavily on statics, but mostly for your Instagram to do well, you have to do reels as well. So to have a background in video editing, it helps. However, creating long form content for YouTube is completely different to any type of short form content. You're essentially asking your audience for me, out of a 20-minute video, like 6 to 7 minutes is my average watch time. And to ask someone to stay and watch only your content for 6 to 7 minutes, you kind of have to take a completely different approach than you would with Instagram. So I think the strategies in terms of creating content is completely different, and it's a learning curve switching from Instagram to YouTube. But if you do have what it takes to grow a following on another social media platform, it's most likely that you can translate that into a different social media platform easily. It's just that there are certain things that we need to recognize as differences, and we'll go into those. So this is what I just went through. The format and structure for long form content is completely different. The second question is the audience similar? Yes and no. In terms of demographics, likes, and gender and stuff like that, your audience could be similar because it's the same types of people mostly that would like your content. I would say no, because the YouTube audience is completely different. Hold on. I would say no, because the YouTube audience is completely different to the Instagram audience, mostly because YouTube audience engagement is much higher. And for YouTube, these are people that enjoy watching long form content. Sometimes the people that scroll on TikTok aren't always the people that enjoy long form content. So there are distinctions between these two types of viewers, and they do require a deeper level of engagement. So sometimes with Instagram, you can do with a video that's not very, you can do with a very, like a very basic video. But with YouTube, there's a clear distinction between your brand and someone else's brand, because the retention, like the time you need to retain them for, is much longer. So it's like sometimes with Instagram, you can make a random video by using a random template off of CapCut or by replicating someone else's video, and that could do well. With YouTube, it's you can still do that, but it's slightly more difficult because obviously the audience engagement, these audiences engage in a much deeper level. Next one. So for transitioning from Instagram to YouTube, the next question is, how similar is the content? I kind of went over this when I answered the first question, whether it helps having an Instagram, having the ability to perform on Instagram, whether that translates onto YouTube. I kind of covered that, but just to go over it a little bit, to have an audience engage for a longer period of time, you do have to take a different approach. So the same approach can't be taken on both channels, which is on both social media platforms, which is something that you should note. Instagram to YouTube, I'm just going to keep the screen on for this one because of the stats. Does having an audience on Instagram mean you can easily grow an audience on YouTube? So I actually thought that my Instagram was pushing my YouTube, but that was a mistake on my end, or I didn't know actually. When I checked the stats only, I found out that this part here, which says how viewers find this video, the part which says external, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the seventh one under the components. External is basically how they come from your other social media platforms onto your YouTube. So obviously, out of that 0.6%, 63% is from Instagram. But what's scary is that even though I'm posting my YouTube links on my Instagram, that's just, it's not even 1% of the audience that's watching my YouTube. It might be the same audience coming on YouTube and watching, but there's no direct correlation between me sharing and posting. So even though like around 18,000 people see my Instagram story, those are the story views in itself are not translating into YouTube views. So it doesn't mean you can easily grow an audience on YouTube. It does obviously mean that people know of you, and that kind of helps, but there's no like direct correlation saying that your YouTube will get views just because your Instagram gets views. Then we're going to go through the time commitment and earning. And I'm just going to off the screen share. So in terms of time commitment, for me, I think personally, when I was working a 9 to 5, I used to film content on Saturday and I would edit on Sunday. So Saturday also, I didn't want to spend the whole day filming. So I would bulk film content in the morning, and I would plan like my outfits. I would take everything with me and go to 1 or 2 locations and finish filming everything. If I had brand content, I'd go to like, let's say, first shop, then second shop, and then restaurant or whatever, and finish everything in one day. So I think that if you have a proper plan, and you have like a filming day, so you do your hair, you do your makeup, everything, and you properly sit down and film, I think with Instagram or any type of short form content, you can cover it in 3 to 5 hours, depending on how frequently you post. I think with Instagram, the maximum you can post really is every other day, because you need to kind of give your video some time to gain some traction. I've seen that when I post a video immediately the next day, that the video that I posted the previous day doesn't have enough time to reach the audience because it gets pushed down on the algorithm. So giving your video around 48 hours, 36 to 48 hours really helps push it forward. I would say that 3 to 5 hours is adequate to create short form content and to take statics and stuff. But with YouTube, it's different. To create a 20-minute video that's action packed and to have all 20 minutes be like really heavy, as a lifestyle content creator, I feel like you need to film yourself for at least 1 to 2 days. There are different forms of YouTube that you can obviously sit down and film in an hour or 2 and edit, but I still think that even for that, there's a lot of research and preparation required, and the script writing is relatively more difficult because there's a lot more like research and a lot more like data that needs to be pushed out in those few minutes. So I think that with long form content, you do require a lot of time, and I've seen it take from 15 to 20 hours a week for YouTube content. If I'm speaking about myself only as a lifestyle content creator, I would say it's safe to say around 15 hours with editing. So the time commitment, is much higher with long form content. But that recently have been a lot of YouTubers grow by only posting short form content. That personally, for me, I haven't done that because I wanted to switch into long form content. So you can do YouTube and post shorts only and still like do it well now, if that's what you're going for. But I did want to engage with an audience on a deeper level and kind of move into a completely different target market, which was the mass um, market in Sri Lanka, which I hadn't tapped into, which is why I moved into longer form content. So in terms of time commitment, you can't even compare, is what I'm trying to say. And then the last question on transitioning from Instagram to YouTube is how to earn. It's a completely different ball game, of course, because sometimes even if you have a really long video, and your video is not good, you might not earn as much because people won't be on the video for long enough, and your like average watch time won't be long enough to generate enough like ad playthroughs. So it's a completely different ball game learning how to earn on YouTube versus learning how to earn on Instagram. For me, optimizing my earnings on Instagram comes with creating really good content for brands and then having as many brands approach you, and you are able to like up your prices, and then you take, let's say you have a maximum amount of ads you can post per week, and you have a maximum amount of ads you can post per month. The only way you can really earn higher and higher is if you create value for those brands and you're able to charge a higher price, because after a certain point you can't post anymore. So right now I'm posting the most ads I can post. So if I'm thinking about growing my revenue from this point onwards, it's really difficult because I can't post anymore. People are going to get sick of me. So the only way I can really increase my revenue on Instagram is by creating more value. But there's only so far you can go. Like maybe I can charge 10,000 more, maybe I can charge 20,000 more. But with the audience that we're limited to with Sri Lanka and me being a niche content creator on Instagram, it's really difficult for me to increase my earnings from Instagram, more difficult than with YouTube, which is why I switched into catering to a more mass audience on YouTube. With YouTube, you earn money through the ads that play on your video, and that's a learning curve in itself. So taking a completely different approach in how you're going to optimize your revenue on both of the platforms, you kind of have to like learn how to do that separately. Yeah. Okay, so that was the third segment. Let me go back into. Okay. So we did Instagram versus YouTube. We did Instagram to YouTube. Now we're going to go into Instagram and YouTube. And I'm going to go into this talking about the content game. The main things I'm going to talk about is why should you move into different content spaces? And two, why should you utilize these platforms together? So the first thing for me was you need to kind of understand what this is for you, what is creating content for you. For me, creating content became my entire livelihood. So it could not just be a side thing. With doing only Instagram or with doing only TikTok, you can sustain that if you have another source of income, or if you're doing like a 9 to 5, or you have another job or another business, and your social media is just something that adds to your income. But if you're only doing social media, you have to think about diversifying your income. And one way to do that is through different platforms. Then increasing your income in a more effective way. So, like I was saying earlier, instead of doing, let's say, 2 videos for 2 brands, it's more effective if you can make 1 video for a brand and feature it on different platforms in different ways, using different creative elements, and then charging those brands a package rate. So ideally, what you could do is you're spending that one day creating content, But if you build a format and build a plan where you basically film portrait, you film landscape, the same content that you're filming, you're going to the same place, you can kind of in a more effective way increase your revenue. Another thing you can do is you can cross-feature these brands. So if I'm doing a video for Instagram, I will cross-feature the brands almost organically on YouTube, and I will charge them a premium saying that I am featuring them on YouTube, and this is the additional audience that they're going to get or they're going to reach, because my audience on YouTube is completely different to my audience on Instagram, and my audience on Instagram is completely different to my audience on TikTok. So to a very big extent, this brand is exposed, whether I charge them or not. In the beginning, I wasn't even charging them, and they were exposed to 3 different types of audiences. And later on, I kind of realized that I could charge brands higher by featuring them on all 3 platforms. So that's another thing. Being competitive to maintain your audience. Obviously, what has happened is, I'm just going to stop the screen share. Obviously, what has happened is that there are so many content creators now. We are almost always seeing somebody new pop up. And if you're only going to be on Instagram, you're kind of not taking up space on the other content platforms, which does make you less competitive. I have definitely realized that showing up on TikTok, even if it's just once a week or twice a week, it really helps me with the younger audience. I don't have to post every day, but just being there on TikTok really helps me still connect with the younger audience, because now I'm 25 and my audience is a little bit older. So to be top of mind with your audience, it's important to kind of really leverage all of the social media platforms if this is something that you do full time. And the last thing is to be able to add value for brands. I think that understanding different content platforms really helps you with the content that you create, and that helps you add value to the brands that you work with. Just to share the screen again. Okay. Let's go into some tips from the mistakes that I made. So one thing that I tried to do when I first started was I tried to create content that everyone else was creating. Hold on. I tried to create this like similar type of content to what I saw other content that was doing well. And then I realized that as a lifestyle content creator, you can't do that for the most part, especially with YouTube, because if you're copying someone else's content, the likelihood that your content is original is going to be very less, because you're trying to be something that you're not, and then that does not translate in the content, like well in the content. It doesn't necessarily, it's difficult to connect with your audience over a long period of time if as a lifestyle content creator you're constantly trying to copy someone else's content. So there's a lot of content on the internet, there's a lot of content that's good, but as a lifestyle content creator, your USP is literally you. So even if it's some things that you are not very proud of with yourself, it's still those things that make you unique. And I think that like that vulnerability and that authenticity and that originality is something that you really need to leverage. Having said that, choosing to become a lifestyle content creator is a whole other decision in itself. It's so much more difficult because you kind of like share a piece of you in every single piece of content, which can be extremely exhausting, but it's also as rewarding. So there's, like with everything in life, there's obviously pros and cons. Being a lifestyle content creator is super rewarding for somebody that can handle it, for somebody that can handle that level of social interaction, for somebody that can handle that level of publicity, that level of openness, that level of vulnerability. It is a very rewarding thing, because for me, I've realized that on Instagram, people connected with me, but not as much as after I started YouTube. After I started YouTube, I've been able to connect with people so much, and in a way that I can actually kind of help people and share like my purpose in creating content and being vulnerable and being authentic. So I think you can create content that genuinely makes a difference because you have more time with people, if that makes sense. If you take Instagram or TikTok, like people probably watch up to, like I saw this statistic that says that people watch 50 to 200 videos a day, like short form videos. And for one of those videos to stand out is really difficult. So with long form content, you can make a bigger impact on people's lives because you have that undivided time and attention for 5 to 6 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes, sometimes even 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You can make a bigger impact on people's lives. It's just that to do that, you really need to be yourself and be true to yourself, almost like if you were having a conversation with a friend. So, A would be picking what type of content creator you want to be on YouTube. And if you're like me and you do choose to be a lifestyle content creator, your unique selling point is you. So to kind of really bring that out as if you were with your family or with your friends or something along those lines. The second one is I just remembered it. We don't have to go back to the slideshow. It's actually doing it in a way that's more sustainable. So for me as a lifestyle content creator on Instagram and YouTube, there needs to be a balance. Obviously, a lot of bloggers that we've seen do really well on YouTube. They kind of get their content gets they exhaust themselves by constantly trying to show their lives in front of the camera. So I think doing it in a way that's sustainable for you, because a lot of our favorite content creators, maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, they aren't able to continue because your life has ups and downs, highs and lows, and showing all of that on the internet obviously has its has its cons. um, I feel like doing it in a way where you're sharing your life, but you're not sharing your entire life, or you're sharing a certain part of your life, or you have, let's say, one day of the week where you film, and then day of the week where you edit, instead of filming your entire week. Finding a part of your life, like maybe cooking, or finding a segment of your life that you want to share with an audience. For some people, it might be sustainable to share your entire life, but I'm kind of going through a little bit of a learning curve where I'm trying to figure out exactly what type of content I want to be showing on YouTube, because it's a really tricky place to play being a lifestyle content creator. And it can get very exhausting. So to find um, types of content that's more sustainable really helps for you to maintain consistency. The third mistake that I made was to make sure that you have support or that you allocate time. If you are doing Instagram, YouTube, TikTok full time, and more so if you are doing social media while having another job, to always, even though we are as lifestyle content creators, we are the content that we make, it doesn't mean that we have to do everything. The previous speaker spoke about outsourcing, and it is increasingly difficult to outsource when you are a lifestyle content creator, but there's always a way to cut down the work that you yourself have to do. Planning obviously helps a lot. Having somebody who understands your style of content helps a lot. Finding someone with a similar editing style as you, it might take a lot more work, but there are ways to kind of get more support. Because I think what a lot of people in Sri Lanka don't have is that, and it's good that, like, obviously, workshops like this are teaching people how to get support and get help from other people and other organizations. But even if it's to pay somebody to edit your video, if that's something you need to do to grow your channel, I think it's important that we consider all of those as investments, because these are areas that you can really earn money. these are areas where you can like create your own art in a way. It's just a new way of creating art, and I think that's something that we need to recognize. So with something else, people won't be scared to make an investment. They'll be like, okay, let's make this investment because it's for a business. But these are also, I think, it's important that we see these also as businesses and our personal brands, and that we should not be stingy and we should invest in ourselves, because that's something that I didn't do, and it was impossible for me to run a creative agency, make one long form content, make like 6 to 7 pieces of Instagram content, out of which 3 to 4 will be brand content a week. There's just really not enough time in a week. So getting support is really important. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the creating a format that's sustainable. And also in the next point, which we'll go into, which is maintaining consistency. This has also been something that I've struggled with, but I think with YouTube, with all social media platforms, consistency is very important. But I think the YouTube algorithm kind of really prioritizes consistency. On Instagram, sometimes the more you post, the less reach you get. On an individual post, which I've seen, your average reach falls when you post more often. Whereas if you posted every 3 days, your average reach would be higher, obviously, because that piece of content would have more time to push forward, and your entire audience will be focused on that piece of content. So with different platforms that prioritize consistency differently, I think with YouTube especially, consistency is important, and that's something that I really struggled with. So to do well on YouTube, I think it's important to be consistent. Share my screen. Piggybacking on trends and creating content for you or for your audience, creating value and not just content. That's what I'm going to go through now. So piggybacking on trends, as a lifestyle content creator, you kind of forget that you can piggyback on trends. That trends really give your content a push when it comes to the algorithm, using keywords, talking about key topics, connecting your content to key topics. I think you kind of get so engrossed in sharing your life that you forget that you can make use of like the trends that's ongoing, or the trends that are currently like popular on that social media platform. That's something that I've failed to do in the past few months. Your life can only be so interesting. So in times where it's not, it could be really helpful to piggyback on trends, use keywords. If there's something that everyone's talking about, to kind of connect your content to that in some way or form could be really helpful. The one before the last one is creating content for you or creating content for your audience. With your content being like so personal to you and being a form of like art. And for me, when I edit a video, I genuinely feel like it's art, and I feel like it's like an extension of me. And I always watch the video and I think like, oh my gosh, I love to watch this video. But I think something that we fail to realize is that there are so many different types of people watching our video when we try to reach such a big audience. And sometimes the sophistication that you require to watch your own video, others don't require, because it takes a lot for people to understand you and not as much for you to understand yourself. So you tend to make this very complex, very sophisticated video that really connects with you. Whereas you need to kind of realize that you're not creating content for you, you're creating content for this big audience, which consists of so many different types of people, so many different age groups, so many different backgrounds, so many different lifestyles. And sometimes making your content more generic, more relatable, and not as personal to you kind of helps. I'm not sure if this is the case with everyone, but I do think that mostly when you're trying to grow into a really big audience, being less niche and less about you kind of helps. So I think for me, I needed to get out of the mindset where I'm creating this piece of content for myself. Where like I used to do my thumbnails for myself. Like I used to be like, oh, I really like this thumbnail. It looks so nice. But if it's not going to make somebody click it, if it's not going to compete against the rest of the thumbnails on YouTube, and if it's not going to reach the audience that I'm trying to reach, then there's no point in you looking at the thumbnail and waiting and being like, it's nice. So I think that was like a really hard like pill to swallow with my YouTube content because I forgot that I'm not making this video for myself. So catering to the audience and not to you is a really important thing to remember when you're making videos for YouTube. And the last one is creating value and not just content. So sometimes like I will film maybe 2 days of content, but really nothing there, like nothing of value. It's just me, and sometimes you'd think that people would like to watch that, but it doesn't. It doesn't do what you need it to do because you're not really connecting with people. And sometimes that happens to me when I'm not having the best day, when I'm not connecting with myself, when I'm not like self-aware. And the issue there is that people are watching your content to feel some sort of way or to learn some sort of something or to be relaxed or to feel stress-free. So for me, I've realized a lot of people come and watch my content because they want to like relax a bit, and then like it's engagement, but it's also like something stress-free. So when I am not in a good place, I find it difficult to give that to people. And if it's not that, I've realized it can be me adding value in a different way. Maybe teaching people something that I've learned, maybe something regarding content, maybe something regarding something that I'm really obsessed with is eating clean and navigating through changing, like learning how to eat clean. Even things like that, even if it's something small, creating value in some way or form, I think it really helps. And sometimes we wonder, like, why is our content not doing well? We're making content, we're literally filming everything, and it's not translating, it's not getting views. It's because we're not adding any value. So I think we need to remember that as much as we create content, our content also needs to be valuable to someone, and someone needs to have a reason to watch it. That's also a really difficult thing to realize. You need to probably ask a lot of other people what they think about your content, or send it to somebody before you post it and say, like, would you watch this? And really listen to them when they tell you the truth. When you're a lifestyle content creator, because it can be difficult because you're making the content of yourself and someone's necessarily telling you that you're not as interesting. But it's if you're doing it as a business and you're running it like that, you kind of have to think of it like that. So it's important to really add value and give people a reason to watch your content. So I think that's the last of my tips. We're going into the last bit, which are the key takeaways. I would say the main thing is to have a separate strategy for both. If I took forward the same approach that I had for Instagram onto YouTube, I think I would have failed miserably because I was a very Colombo-based, niche, English-speaking audience. I had that type of audience, and my audience only really went as far as maybe Candy and Goa. But with my YouTube, I realized I actually have a much broader audience in terms of like location, because of the Sinhala content, and that's really helped me grow into a new target market, and it's helped my Instagram a lot as well. It's helped me grow my Instagram. It's helped me grow my TikTok. It's just helped me. It's given me the push that I needed because I was in a very stagnant place. But if I took the same approach that I did with my Instagram and tried to bring that to YouTube, it wouldn't have served any purpose. And also, it wouldn't have done any good for my personal brand on the whole. The second thing is, I think for somebody who is listening to this workshop or this session, I think you're probably looking at this in a way that you can earn money. And especially if you're starting out, I think it's really important that you diversify your income because for me, TikTok really helped me to grow my Instagram. I might not earn as much money on TikTok, but it does help me in terms of traction, in terms of pushing my content out to a new audience, in terms of staying on top of mind. And it might not be the most profitable platform for you, but to still have all three, it does more than you think it does. And you kind of learn that as you look into your statistics more and more. For example, with my Instagram, I do get a lot of people coming onto my Instagram from my TikTok because TikTok, you always show up on some random person's feed. You always show up on the For You page. Sometimes even if you're not making videos during that week, your last week's video is still performing, and somebody who has never seen you before, they'll see your TikTok. Whereas with Instagram, that happens less because maybe one or two videos will go on the Explore feed, but majority are your own followers who see your videos on Instagram. So having those different platforms really help you, and you will diversify your income. Even if it's not the most profitable platform, you still should prioritize it, is what I'm trying to say. If you are a full-time content creator, it might be good to leverage both platforms differently. I think that if there's something that I've learned, it's good that I'm more niche on Instagram and more mass on YouTube because that helps me almost do two completely different things on both platforms, and that does help in terms of reaching a bigger target audience. Maintain a good balance and even better consistency. In terms of a good balance, I would say to kind of have a more sustainable, more realistic schedule with Instagram, same for TikTok, and then for YouTube, to kind of cater your content posting schedule to your life and what you are able to do. Find a good balance as to how you're going to manage all three or four if you have Facebook, how you're going to find a good balance to prioritize all of them, and also how you're going to prioritize brand content amongst all of that as well. So maintaining a good balance is important, and maintaining consistency on all platforms is important as well. Trial and error. For a lifestyle content creator, trial and error is it never ends. You always have to try, and you always have to fix those mistakes if you've made any, and always change your content, because with trends, with you changing as a person, with the platforms changing, with the algorithms changing, you constantly have to keep working on your craft and keep developing the type of content that you make. Your content is your art, and what works for me won't always work for you. There could be a few takeaways that you can take from this to kind of learn how that works for you. If I have any advice, it would be to take these points and learn how they fit into your content and your brand, your life, not lifestyle, but your type of content. Like if you're a food content creator, if you make educational content, just to take these points and see how they translate for you. Even though something might work for someone else, doesn't mean that will always work for you. And what I've seen with these things is sometimes doing what everybody else doesn't do really helps, because really helps you get that edge on YouTube, even Instagram. Doing things completely differently, using the same format, but doing things in a different way does help. So as much as you like watch other people and learn from other people, the most important thing, and which has helped me so much, is to just be myself and not try to be different, but bring out those differences. by being like really true to yourself genuinely helps your content reach an audience. So yeah. Yeah, next we'll be going into questions.
Hello, everybody. How's life? Did you have lunch? I hope you did. I am only having water, okay? Because work is more important. No, I'm kidding. I had lunch. Okay. So today, all of you are here, and I'm here to share a few of my experiences on mastering vertical short form content. So you guys know I'm really, I have mastered the art, yeah, and there's more to go. But I think, I have achieved really well. Like I'm doing great. I think my ego just took over. I shouldn't let that happen. So this is my TikTok account just to show off. I have put 80,000 followers, 2 million likes, and 539 followers. I don't think that matters anyway. So a quick understanding of this is like 80,000 followers. It doesn't just happen for random things. Okay, so this is hard work. This is a lot of planning, a lot of learning, and a lot of unlearning. So there's so much work put into this in order to achieve this. So this has happened in the last 4 years, and I had different goals each year, and then I was able to achieve 80,000. So I will share a few of my techniques with you, because 2 million likes, it's not 2 million views, right? It's 2 million likes, which means a lot of videos have performed well. So I remember almost 20 to 30 videos have reached like more than 1 million views, and when something reaches a good audience, I try to understand what went well and what didn't go well. And if a video doesn't reach a lot of people, I don't cry. But what I check is why did this video not reach a lot of people? So good or bad, my intention is to, number one, learn, and number two, to reach more people and continuously improve myself. So that's my focus. And that's why whatever I do, I keep doing. And I keep experimenting. So let me share with you a few techniques of how I was able to get to where I am right now. And I'm going to keep doing this. So the first thing I always encourage everyone, doesn't matter how many followers you have, even if you have 100 followers, 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, 1 million followers, it doesn't matter. You have to be open to experiment your content. Okay? Take that to your mind. You have to keep experimenting while you do your regular content. Time to time, upload a few content that you want to experiment to see if it's working or not. So number one is experiment. So at the beginning, when I started my TikTok, I have experimented a lot. So look at this screenshot, and there are like 500 views, 9,000 views, 600 views, and so on. And this character I created just to see if it's working. And obviously it didn't work, but that's fine. So before I came up with student and teacher kind of comedy videos, and my recent one is software engineer related videos, these are a few things that I experimented, hoping it would succeed, and also it might not succeed. And I was okay with both kind of results because my intention was experimenting. So if you are a beginner, or if you're not, and you have established your place, I would still recommend you have to experiment at least 1 or 2 videos out of every 10 videos, just to see if it's reaching a new set of audience. So experimentation doesn't matter how many followers you have. I would recommend that because that's when growth happens. Growth, a personal growth, or growth in your creativity, and so on. Because we find a template and we stick to it, and most of us stick to it forever, which I don't think is a good thing for a creator. So that's when burnout happens. That's when you run out of ideas. That's when you start to get bored, is because you start to get to a routine that is very predictable, and there's no much of learning. So that's why experimentation is very important. That's my number one reminder to all of you. The second thing is be consistent. You experiment and you find out a few things that are working and a few things that are not working. The few things that you enjoy, the few things that makes you feel happy, and also it satisfies the audience, the common ground. Whatever is working through your experimentation, you can try to be consistent on whatever you have chosen. And of course, continue to experiment, but pick the things that are working and that are making you happy, and also technically you are able to deliver it continuously. Pick those and try to deliver them. Try to be consistent on those. So the moment I started to see student and teacher related funny videos were working, what I did was I tried to be consistent. So what I did, I put 1 video per day of this kind of small skits for almost 100 days until I got 10,000 followers on Instagram. So this happened in me getting 10,000 followers on TikTok happened in like 3 to 4 months. Because I kept uploading this kind of student and teacher funny videos, which was very basic, and it was very easy for me to edit and upload. And every day I spent like half an hour just to stand in front of a very basic light at my house and record as a teacher, as a student, blah, 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 and then put the caption and upload. My idea was to be consistent, and that is one of the main reasons why I was able to get 10,000 followers in just 3 to 4 months. All right? The third point is once you start to experiment, and secondly, you start to become consistent, and then you realize I'm very consistent in what I do. What is the next step? The next step is growing and improving a lot of things. Like you can take it as self-improvement, or you can take it as improving your video quality or audio quality and so on. Because the first thing for me is to experiment, and the second thing is for me to be consistent even with good audio, good video or not, but be consistent. And the third thing was for me to improve the video and audio quality. So as a result, I was able to make more colorful, bright videos with more filters and more sceneries and so on. So look at the difference. The difference from this kind of background and lighting, I became consistent and I improved to something like this, more colorful, more bright, more eye-catchy videos. Okay, so I want you to remember, don't forget to experiment your content. Don't forget to become consistent on what is working, and what is not working, try to learn something out of it. And number 3, continuously grow and improve the quality of what you do. Apart from those, I will give you very specific tips that will help you deliver a better viral or content that can reach more people. Okay? First one, under the visual category, I'll tell you these few things are very important. And of course, these are not the only things that you have to focus on. I would say you have to prioritize this. Okay? First one is the videos better if it's bright. And of course, if the concept is in the darkness, of course, you can go for darkness. But better if the videos are bright, colorful is recommended, and spacey. Don't make the video look so tight with so many texts and there's no space around you. It's very tight shots. I don't recommend that most of the time. Maybe once in a while you can have tight shots, but there should be more space, because as an audience, when you scroll through, you feel somehow subconsciously, you feel good when the video looks clean and spacey. Okay, so clean and spaciness is something that I like to recommend. And cinematic would be highly appreciated, because cinematic videos by default attract people's eyes and they try to stick till the end of the video because there's something beautiful about it. So people like to see what it is. So visually, remember these things: bright, colorful. Colorful is not a must, but if it's colorful, it's eye-catchy, so it would work. It has to be spacey. There should be enough space around, so don't make it too close and too tight. And make sure it's clean. If there's things in the background, make sure that you clean it and make it maybe plain or should be clean. Basically, when you look at it, you should feel like, wow, it's really beautiful, calming, beautiful. So you should be able to feel it, is what I'm saying. And then cinematic, because we go to movies and sometimes we like certain type of directors making movies. So we go for Christopher Nolan and all of those people because it's nice. The cinematography, lighting, everything is good. So that's why I try to focus on those. And it's not impossible to get those cinematic color grading and so on with your phone itself. I edit my phone. I do color grading and everything with just my phone. It's very easy. So a few examples I have put here on my slides. So this is one of my first videos. So if you see, I have put text like across, and then there's one big text in the middle, and then says check description. And my face has some light, which is okay, because I was standing in front of the light. But if you think about it, the background, look at the background, it's not worse, but still it doesn't give you that eye-catchy thing, you know what I mean? There's no space, it's very tight. See, like, I got cut into 1/4. But the second video, look at it. So I recorded in Dubai, by the way. It's a beautiful place. But there will always be beautiful places, you just have to find them. So this one, look at it. So the trees are visible, it's very symmetric, right? So I'm in the middle. There's so much space in front of me, behind me, and there's so much space in the sky even. I don't know, the sky was even clean on that day. I don't know why. And then I put a caption in a very, neat, beautiful way. I put the caption as well, and it looks nice. When you look at it, even if you are in a rush, you might think, let me look at it for a few seconds. Like you're convinced because it's visually good. And the third video as well, I took it during the sunlight time. And of course, this is color graded. This is not natural colors. I have slightly increased the yellowness of it because I wanted this video to be more movie-ish, movie kind of feeling. So if you look at it, there's so much space on top of my head and on the sides, and I'm in the middle. The background is looking nice, and there's an uncle walking. Oh, I'm going to work right now. Oh, I'm captured. Oh, it's fine. So this looks more spacey. Okay, so if you compare this video to this video, you are more likely to pick this second or third videos because it feels good. Okay? So remember, the video has to be bright. So even this video, even though it's shot at a night time, it's still looking bright and colorful. This one is colorful and this one is not that colorful, but that's fine. More space, and it's very clean. And what's the other word I said? Cinematic. Yeah, it's very cinematic as well. Okay? So remember, visually, it's very important that people feel good when you look at your video. And again, it's not like a I wouldn't recommend that to be like 100% your video should be cinematic and beautiful and glowing and colorful. No, because if you're making a scary video, I mean, you don't have to think about making the video looking bright and colorful, right? So the theme can change, but most of the videos, if it can be brighter and colorful and spacey, then it will work. Tip 2, visual related, explore filters. So there are so many content creators on a rise right now because there's so much of concepts and people have access to the camera, so they can try things out, they can experiment and so on. And now the idea is, how can I be unique? How can I bring unique content? So some people put a lot of effort on CGI and creating animations and so on, which is great. But why not use some of the features that are already existing on Instagram? So I usually use a lot of filters. If I quickly go back, let me show you. So there's the third, the third picture. So this is, I did not create this filter, right? So I just used a filter that was existing. And why not use it? It's an amazing filter. Someone created it. And this filter is available on Instagram. And people don't know that this kind of filters exist. Actually, you can... I went too far, sorry. So if you go to Instagram stories and you scroll to the right corner and there's a search button and you click it, and then you can search Halloween filters or dog filter or cat filter or Batman filter. Any filter you search, you will find a lot of options and you can pick what you want based on the concept that you have and then just use it, that's all. And then you can download those videos anyway. You can download that story to your phone and use it as a video. I have used it so many times for so many promotions, even some random funny videos. I have used the filters, and it's funny, it's visually interesting, and so on. So I'm like, why not use something that is already there, and why should I try to create something from the beginning? Okay. Tip 3. Third one also visual related. First frame. Just keep the word in your head, first frame. And the second thing is switch camera angles or backgrounds. And don't be static for too long. Okay, first frame. The reason why I said first frame, when someone is opening your video, what's a first frame? Is it interesting? Does it look, let me see. So this is one of my first frames of this video. And people would be interested to know what's going to happen in this video. He's in the middle of the pavement, and is he going to get hit by a car, or is he going to do a backflip? Or will there be a cat walking? Will dogs chase? Like, some people are really interested to know what's going to happen in this one. So first frame is extremely important, and also we can call it the 3-second rule. Within the first 3 seconds, something interesting has to happen, either visually, it has to look good, or visually something is going to happen, and that will make people stay for a while to see what's going to happen. So that's why first frame is extremely important. So these are some random thumbnails. Thumbnail is different to first frame, okay? So I think in this video I put this as the first frame because it looks suspicious, like 2 people are hiding and they are trying to call someone. So I feel like this is an interesting way to get everyone's attention in the first 3 seconds. And this was the first frame, I think this was the first frame on one of the videos, where I'm actually eating leeks at a restaurant or a food, I think that's Keels, yeah. So I'm just eating something, and then people are like, when they watch the video, they see something creepy, what's happening? So they try to watch it. So this is the first frame. First 3 seconds, I should be able to grab the audience attention so that they will keep watching to see what's interesting about it. So remember, the beginning of the video, first 3 seconds are very important, and that's how you grab everyone's attention. So which I can put it in 2 ways, first frame, or you can also say within the first 3 seconds, how can I grab everyone's attention through mystery, through interest, through cinematic things, or any actions, something funny, or something unpredictable, Sometimes I watch CCTV related footages of, near the gate or something, and it's very quiet, and I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't want to skip the video because I feel like something is going to happen. So I'm like waiting, what's happening? Let me just watch and wait. So first 3 seconds, even the first frame actually got my attention, and I want to know what's going to happen. And I know it's the same experience for most of you. Second point is switch camera angles or background. Don't try to have a static camera angle for a long time, because that will actually make people get visually tired. Sometimes they might be interested in listening to the entire thing, but sometimes people might be, if they are like visual people who are interested in the visual more than listening, they might be like, it's the same frame for a long time, this person keeps talking. So they might scroll up. So changing the angles once in a while will help visually keep the people retained in the video for a long time. Or change the background. If you're using inside the house, maybe next frame, record it outside the house. Don't be static for too long. Let me give you a quick example of one of my videos, and think what are some techniques you can learn from this video. Okay? Give me a second. Let me refresh.
Dad, how many kilos?
Dad, can you be quiet? I am making a video. Thanks. A lot of you think that I don't have a work-life balance. But it's not true. I work while enjoying the nature. It's been 7 years since I laughed last time. That's why my face muscles are not working. I'm planning to attend a stand-up comedy show this Saturday. I can bring my laptop and work while laughing. Look at the poster carefully, no?
So it was a promotion.
Because it's this Saturday at Cuisine Colombo. Reserve now. Bye.
Okay. So it was a promotional video to one of my stand-up comedy shows, and what I did, first 3-second rule is applied. Obviously, it starts in a very creepy way. Hello, everybody. And then suddenly someone is shouting, and then I turn and start talking to them. And you feel like, oh, is it happening for real? Like, is he getting disturbed while he's making a video? So it's a confusing area. It can create some interest. And I start talking, and I realize it's a very long, lengthy conversation I have to have with the audience or the camera. So I spoke for a while, and I realized I'm talking in the same angle for a long time, so I changed the angle. And sometimes I put the camera outside the house and then record from there, and then continue. And of course, sometimes I have to dub as well, because the audio is not clear. And that's a practical example I can show you for that one. Okay? So what's the idea? Make sure that the first frame is interesting, and make sure that there's something happening in the first 3 seconds to grab everyone's attention. And make sure that you switch the camera angles or backgrounds based on how lengthy your descriptions or maybe whatever you're talking about, how long is it. So don't be static in the same place for a long time. Okay? All right. Fourth tip is about the concept. So we are done with visuals. Now concepts. The concept, which means the idea of the video. What are you going to make out of it? So what is working for me is I use relatable content. Relatable or something interesting, and I use captions most of the time, so that if people are ready to skip because they love doom scrolling, they keep doom scrolling, and then when you see text, some people might stop and start reading, and while reading, something is happening, so they might start to watch the entire video. Okay? So my technique is always to make something relatable. It doesn't matter which industry you are in. You can be a musician, you can be a singer, you can be a speaker, you can be a videographer, you can be, I don't know, what else is there? Doctor, engineer, anything. There will always be things that are relatable. As a normal human being, you will have a lot of relatable things. And also, in terms of the industry that you're working for, you will have a lot of relatable things. Like there will be things that only doctors can feel related to. Like, oh, I know this usually happens. As a doctor, I have experienced it multiple times. As a teacher, you might experience a few things that is very unique to the teaching industry. So you might be like, the public might not understand, this is common, and teachers are like, no, this is something very common. So there will always be something relatable in whatever industry you choose. Whatever industry you choose, there will always be something that's relatable. So use those concepts, use those experiences. If it's funny, that would be amazing. And then make a video out of it. And that will organically get more reach. And whatever videos I have made so far are relatable. So most of the videos I make are software engineer videos, and it's very relatable to all the software engineers. And student and teacher kind of jokes is very generally relatable to anyone who has attended schools. And I make it interesting as well, and I use captions. So here's an example of something that I have randomly made. Okay? It's called Me Leaving Office on a Friday. So actually there was a guy who was putting some mosquito smoke something, and I was inside. I thought, oh, why not use this opportunity to make something? So I just ran out of that smoke in slow motion, and I thought, what is the best relatable caption I can put for this? Me running away from something. Okay, what about me running away from assignments? Okay, that might work. And what about me running away from office on a Friday night? Okay, that also sounds like something relatable and funny. So on Instagram, I put me leaving office on a Friday. And on TikTok, I put me leaving, me trying to escape from assignments and something like that. I can't remember. So I thought TikTok audience are more into campus and assignments and so on, and I thought my Instagram followers are mostly into work and so on. So I made Instagram relatable to Instagram audience and TikTok relatable to TikTok audience. Same video, but different idea. Okay? A few things that you can try that will work are these. Number one, do expectations versus reality videos. In any industry you choose, there will be expectations versus reality moments. Even as a human being, you will have expectations versus reality moments. And you can use that for anything. Like food, you can make food-related ones. When you go to a restaurant, what's your expectation and what's the reality? If you're into music, you maybe think of what you think you sound like and what you actually sound like. These are just funny concepts, right? If you are into, let's say, medical industry as an example, what you expect, how you expect yourself to perform in your exams versus how you really perform, or how you react to your exams and so on. Second one is POV, and try to be very specific, point of view. Like, so my previous video example I showed, me leaving office on a Friday, is a POV, like a point of view. As an employer, point of view of an employer. Yeah, that's the idea. So you can be POV of, as a mother, you can put POV. As a brother, you can put a POV. As a student, you can put a POV. As a teacher, you can put a POV. As a musician, you can put a point of view. So because it's very subjective, and it usually works as well. And they get a lot of shares because it's relatable. Remember the word relatable, real, R-E-L. The next one you can try that would work is before and after videos. So before and after. It could be a funny concept of before exam and after exam your face, or before first year and after fourth year, something like that. Or you can be like transformation, before workout and after workout. Those kind of things. You can use that concept as well, which is very simple and it works a lot. You can also do how-to or tutorial videos, and what I'm suggesting here is to make sure that you put a caption on the top. Put a caption. Oh, where am I? Oh, put a caption. Put a caption on the top saying, tutorial of how to cook food or tutorial on how to edit a video, something like that. And whenever someone is scrolling through, even if they don't get attracted in that first 3 seconds, they will read it and they will like, okay, this video is maybe something useful for me. Okay. And the fourth thing, is that the fourth thing or fifth thing? Fifth thing is you can use this type of caption. Whenever I try to sleep, and then you can make some sound effects of, father, or something like that. Or whenever I try to study, you can put how your social media is distracting you. Or you can be like, whenever I go to a shop, this happens. Whenever I do this, this happens. Something like that, you can use it, and it also usually works. It's very relatable. And the sixth one, you can see something like don't try this. Don't be something. Like whenever you say don't, I don't know, it has that negative beginning that people want to see. Oh, don't, what kind of don't you mean? Okay? Like don't sleep when you had sugar in the morning. I don't know, it doesn't make sense, but when you put something like that, people are like, don't? Okay. I don't know why people are interested in don't more than do's. They're like, don't? Oh, what don't? What do you mean don't? So they get excited to watch what it is. Tip number 5, duration of a video. This is an interesting part. Okay, let me read it first. Shortest 15 seconds. Too short might not be useful even if it works. And long ones, make sure that you cut unwanted draggy parts and gaps. Okay, so I have put two things there. Short videos, like there are videos that are like 2 to 3 seconds long, 4 to 5 seconds long, and they perform really well. But the problem is, even though it gets a lot of views, people don't follow your page because it's a part of a doom scrolling thing. Like they keep scrolling and they find this 5-second video and they're like, this is nice, like, comment, and then they keep scrolling. They don't, because it's very too small, that doesn't show the uniqueness of yours. So when it's too short, when it's extremely short, the videos might get a lot of views because the people are watching it till the end. The retention of that video is high, so people might watch it, but it might not bring results. The results, what I mean by the results is number of followers. I have done short videos. Again, I experiment a lot. So I have done like a 5-second videos, and that has got like 1 million views. But when you go to insights and check how many people have followed your page because of that video, it's like 22, 33, around that. Just less than 100 followers from those kind of videos. So you can try it once in a while, but don't expect a lot of followers to happen just because of that short clip. So I recommend short as 15 seconds. Is because it has it's a little long, and people after watching for 15 seconds, they might be like, okay, this guy is very unique. This guy has put some effort to, do this. And also this 15 second was not draggy. It was very to the point. And I think maybe if I see the same type of content again, I might follow. Remember, they might not follow on the first video itself. So don't make it too short. Make it minimum 15 seconds. If it's a long video, which is like 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long, that is totally fine as far as you make it interesting and cut the unwanted gaps. Again, it's something that you can experiment. Usually, most of the times, it doesn't work on Instagram or TikTok, but it might work on YouTube. Because when someone is opening Instagram or TikTok, their mindset is like, let me keep looking at 10 videos in just 5 seconds. Like they have this. When you open that platform, you feel like I want to quickly look at as many things as possible and then quit the platform. But when you open YouTube, what's your mindset like? You open YouTube, like, I'm going to watch a long movie, a short film. I'm going to watch a beautiful, mind-blowing podcast, whatever. So when you open YouTube, you feel like I can watch a long video. But when you open Instagram or TikTok, it's very rare that you open it to watch a long video. So what I mean by that is it's not like it doesn't work. It works, but not most of the time. So if you're making a long video, make sure that you cut and remove the draggy, long gaps that are unnecessary. Okay? Okay, I think this video is an example of how I made a long video as short as possible. Okay, so let me, let me show. So she is also a content creator called Little Miss.
So makes it hard to breathe when we interlock our fingers and our hearts like cosmic tapestries of love and I keep just feeling.
Okay, so there are two content creators there. One is Shavinka and then the other one is Eric. And this video is a very long concept. This is expectation versus reality. So one of the concepts I told you that it might work. And it has got almost 400,000 views. And it's a very long video. I think it almost is like a 1-minute video. But when I was planning it, it was almost like a 2-minute kind of concept. And we recorded so many amazing clips, more than this. And I had to cut them short to make sure it's short and sweet. Even though they were really amazing shots, I wanted to put them, but I realized it might slow down the pace of the video, so I had to remove them. Okay, so this was almost like a 2-minute video, and I edited it, removed unnecessary part, removed some additional actions. We had more actions in these one, but I removed them to make sure it's short and sweet. Okay, this is an example of a final product that's 2 minutes long, but I made it to 1 minute. Okay, and look at the number of switch of angles and the concept, and within the first 3 seconds, how I established the scene, how I made sure that I retained the audience, and because it's expectation versus reality, when people see the expectation, they want to see what the reality is. So which also is an interesting way to keep your audience when you publish something. Okay? All right. Here's one of the videos that has performed well, and let's just go through this and try to understand the insights. Okay? And as a content creator, you have to look at your insights once in a while to understand where this is going. The first insight is it has 12% battery. My phone had 12% battery. Very useful information, yeah? Okay, stop looking at that. Look at the important information here. So this video is 31 seconds long, and it has reached 3 million views. Profile activity is somewhere around 2,000, and watch time 1 year, 154 days, and so on. Like 1 year of duration was played by multiple people, which is interesting. Interaction is 234,000 blah blah something, which is a total of likes, comments, shares, saves, and whatever type of engagements happened on the video. Okay. Now, what is something important here to notice is the 80,000 shares. Again, I never ask anyone to share my videos, because I think a good content will automatically work. Doesn't matter even if you have 100 followers, 10 followers, a viral potential video will go viral. Maybe not immediately, maybe after 2-3 months it might go viral. So don't force anyone to share your videos. Let it do its job by itself. Okay, what is under your control is making a good content. You just do that, and if people like to share it or don't want to share it, it's up to the world to decide. What you have to do, just do it. So this video average watch time is 19 seconds, and the total duration of the video is 31 seconds. So if you look at the percentage, total duration and average time played is 19 seconds, which is almost 20 seconds. So I think it's 2/3. It's more than 50%. So the average watch time is more than 50%, which also means if your average watch time is more than 50%, it's more likely to reach more audience. Also become viral. It can become viral, and anyway it will reach more audience anyway. So more than 50% retention. This is called audience retention. More than 50%, it usually works. So whenever you make a video, just go to Insights and see if the video duration is some 30. Check what's the average watch time. If it's more than half of the video, then it has more likelihood of reaching more people. Okay? And also number of followers through this video is 2,298. So look at this. It might be a little disappointing, right? So you see it has 3,500,000 views and not even at 10,000 followers, just 2,000 followers. 3 million views, 2,000 followers. So it can totally happen. I have done a similar educational kind of video. It has got 1 million or something, but it has got almost 16,000 followers. So it looks like people are more into education when it's delivered the right way, obviously, more than funny videos, which is an interesting thing for you to think of. Okay, let me tell you a quick story because I covered the most important parts. Okay, and I will finish this story in 10 minutes and I will give you like a small break. And you can ask me all your questions. You can type it in the chat. If you're watching through Zoom, send it. If you're on Instagram or TikTok or any other platforms, you can put a comment. And during that break, we will collect all the questions. And let's see how many questions I can answer. Okay, let me tell you a quick story of how small things lead to something big. This is based on true story, yeah? Okay. One day, I put a story in the morning, like one random day. I just woke up and I'm like, oh, it's interesting how every 15 seconds to 1 minute video, we watch it for 30 minutes. We have technically watched 30 to 120 videos in just half an hour. I thought it was really interesting. I think I listened to a podcast as well regarding this. So I thought, why not explain it on a whiteboard and just put it up as a story. Not as a reel, I put it as a story. I put it as a story and then I realized, oh, I put as a story and there are 4,000 views. Like, wow, interesting. Because I usually get like 1,000 and I'm like 4,000 views are there. Okay, interesting. And one of the most interesting thing that happened here is that story, like an Instagram story, has got 200 shares. I was like, oh, I get my reels shared by a lot of people, but a story? People share a story? Really? And I realized maybe it's really powerful. Maybe there's something interesting about this video. And I also got some messages, like one of these, a lot of messages, and this is one message. Oh, wow, that's the best thing I have heard. Thank you for putting into perspectives. You're so right, because emotional dysregulation, our nerve system is already messed up for so much of happening around us and not having control of our lives. Being exposed to influx of social media content is certainly unhealthy and terrible for our mental health. Thank you for sharing this. Please save it on your highlights. So they asked me to save it on a highlight, and some people asked me, can you put it on your post? Put it as a post. A lot of requests came. Put it as a post, it's a nice video. Why are you putting in a story? Okay, this is just a random thought came in the morning. I explained in a whiteboard and then I just put it as a story and people are like, this is good, post it. So I posted. Okay, fine, I'll post. And then I got like so many millions of views and like you can see a quick, look at the number of shares here. 514,000 shares. Oh my God, wow, that's so much, so many, right? So it's more than the number of likes. The number of shares are extremely high, which actually surprised me because 500,000 shares for one video, which I just randomly walk up and then put. You might think, oh, interesting story, but the story doesn't end right there. The story continues. You know this guy, right? Khalid Al-Ameri. Oh, wow. Somehow this video has reached this guy, and fortunately, he was planning to come to Sri Lanka. And he saw this video, and then he has dropped me a message. I actually asked him when I was meeting him, why did you drop me a message? How, out of everyone in this entire world, how did you find me? Am I the chosen one? So he told me, Assalamu alaikum, Anderson. I hope you're well. We are planning to visit Sri Lanka, inshallah, over the next few days, and was hoping to learn more about the culture, youth, and special places there. Can we connect? I was like, no way! I was in the next morning, so I was actually shocked. And, I'm a huge fan, right? So I'm like, wait, how is this happening? Is it real? And then he made a vlog about Sri Lanka. So I was able to, this is the first time I was meeting him face to face. And this is the introduction of myself in that video. So I was able to spend the entire day with him and his team, a beautiful team, at Kandy. So if you watch on YouTube his documentary about Sri Lanka, I'll be there. So I asked him, how did you find me? How? Why? How? How? This is interesting. And then he told me, like, I came across your video of this, and then I thought, I just checked your profile, and it says Sri Lanka. I was like, oh, I'm planning to go to Sri Lanka, and there's someone already doing content, so why not connect? And then on the YouTube, you can go and watch. So I was there spending I was actually learning a lot by looking at him doing his content and how his team was working. A lot of amazing learnings. I was having some mango because I was feeling dizzy, traveling for a long time, and I was supplying my mango to everyone. Okay. Okay. So what's the learning out of this? So I just randomly one day woke up and put up a story, and then just a story. It just took me less than 15 minutes to make the video and put it on my story. People started sharing it, and then some people said, post it. I was like, okay, I'll post it. And when I posted it, it got 500,000 shares. And then it reached one of the most subscribed YouTuber. And then I was able to meet this guy, and then I was able to spend time with their team and get to know a lot of things. And then, as a part of his vlog. And I think this one small video actually helped me reach something big. So something small led to something big is what my point is. So whatever videos that you have, do not underestimate them. Make sure that you use them. Post them, see if it's working or not working. It comes back to the experiment. Is it working, not working? Is it, can I learn something from this? Don't keep the videos with yourself and like, should I post or not post? What will people react? What if people put negative comments? That's fine, just post it, okay? It's not going to kill anyone. I mean, make sure the content is good, by the way. Don't make unwanted content. And yes, last but not least, that's my face, by the way. Also, this face is trending right now, okay? Like, random people from different parts of the world, they send me this, and like, this is you? I'm like, yeah. How did you know? I saw it in one of my WhatsApp groups, okay? Give good things to the world, and the world will give good things back to you, okay? You get what you give. So make sure that you give, put more content, help people and support people who are making content. Maybe, going and recording something for them might be helpful. Maybe you can ask them, shall I edit because I have some time? Can I support you in that way? The more you try to help other people, the more you learn as well, and the more support you get. So don't expect people to support you without you supporting them. So you give what you have, and when you do that, the rest of it, the world will give the right things back to you. Okay? So that's a learning. Make sure that you follow this principle on everything. Make sure that you give more, and always you will receive. Okay? All right. I think I covered everything. Remember to experiment. Remember to become consistent on what's working. And remember, when you keep consistent, you will automatically see what are the things you can grow and improve, audio quality, video quality, and so on. And don't stop learning, don't stop supporting people, and don't force people to follow or subscribe, follow for unfollow for follow. Like, don't do all of those things. Just whatever is under your control, make sure that it's going out right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a short commercial break. Drink your water, yeah? And then when we are back, I will answer some of your questions. Okay? Bye. Welcome back. I think this is a message to all of you. Drink more water, yeah? Keep water next to you. Okay, so I have a few questions and I have like 15 minutes. So the next one will be starting at 3 p.m., a singular version of the content creation related segment will be at 3 p.m. So you can take your break and come back at 3 p.m. So let me take a few questions right now. First question, how can creators maintain consistency in producing engaging short-form content while avoiding burnouts? So I'll give you two answers. One is, if you want to be consistent, make sure that the technical process is made easy. If it takes a lot of effort to make one video, that might even stress you out and you don't want to make more videos because you actually feel tired and you feel like I have to put the camera, I have to put the light, I have to click record, and then I have to go back and make sure the background is clean. I have to set up the light and move around and record more clips. And I have to upload, I have to turn on my computer and upload them and wait for the videos to upload. And once it's uploaded, I have to edit and power cut happens and so on. And then I have to convert and then take it to my phone again, or from computer I upload and I have to wait until it's compiling or uploading. And it's like so much of technical things to look at, right? When you're editing a video, there's so much of things to do. So when you have so much of work to be done for just one single small video, that actually will affect your consistency. You will feel like it's too much work. even though it's a small video, it's too much work. So you will feel like I cannot be consistent on this because it's too much work. So my first idea for all of you to take is make sure that the process is simple. The reason why I'm very consistent, I was able to upload videos regularly, is because I have the editor on my phone itself. I make color adjustments, everything on my phone itself. When I'm traveling, I can edit if I want to. And also I keep my content very short and sweet. So because the technical side of it is not difficult, I use a natural light. I open the window and make the videos easily. I don't move lights and so on because I don't have a big team, right? So sometimes I call my friend and sometimes I do the things alone. So because of that, I try to keep the things as easy as possible so that I can be consistent. So make sure that whatever you're doing, if your goal is to be consistent, make sure that the process is easy. So you can focus more on the video and not editing, uploading, downloading, and opening the computer, closing, and internet connection, and so on. So I recommend, if you want to be consistent, let me be very specific. Use mobile phone apps to edit the videos, record the videos with the phone, and also edit and upload from the phone itself. And that's the simplest thing I can give you in terms of technical side of it. And you can be very consistent. Okay? Second thing is, whenever you're traveling, make sure that you take whatever ideas that come to your mind, just make sure that you note it down on your WhatsApp or on your notepad or anything. Just note it down. So when you run out of ideas, you will always have a list that you can go back to and then use it. While avoiding burnout. So burnout the second thing is, why does a burnout happen? Is because of maybe too much work has to be put to make one video. So technical side can burn you out. So the other thing is, you might run out of ideas, and that also can give you a burnout because you're stressed with work and so on. I actually answered the second question. I gave the second point as well, which is, don't spend time sitting and thinking, what's the next idea I can execute, what's the next idea, it might not work, but ideas happen at different places, while you're traveling, while you are in the bus, while you are walking, while you're at a lectures. Whenever the ideas happen, just note them down and make sure that the list keeps on going. So when you feel like there's no ideas to execute, you will be like, let me check my list. I didn't execute this one, let me try this. Okay? Second question. What are some effective techniques for grabbing viewers' attention in the first few seconds of a video? So this one I have explained a few techniques on the session, during the session itself. Apart from that, using the right caption will always get people's attention. Okay? Point of view or expectation versus reality. Those kind of captions will make people want to see what's going on. Second thing is, obviously make it relatable. And third thing is, make sure that the visual, the first frame, I told you about the first frame, the first 1 to 3 seconds, visually what's going on will also make people want to see more. Just imagine when you open Instagram and I'm like, and you don't know what's going to happen. So you might be like, oh, you got my attention, let me see what's going on. Or you can start with some quote. If you do this, you will face this kind of problem. And when you start saying that as a first part of the video, people will be like, oh, you have got my attention. Let me know more. So there are more techniques. You can even check my videos to see what kind of techniques I have used. Check one of your favorite content creators and see what's the technique they have used on the first 3 seconds. The answer is already there on your social media. The people that you follow, when you try to analyze it, so I know you look at the videos in terms of entertainment. Look at that video next time and see what technique have they used in the first 3 seconds. Let me watch it. Oh, visual, whatever, and you can make use of that when you make videos. Third question. How important is it to experiment with filters and visuals, and how can this impact audience retention? So the answer is in the question. How important is it to experiment with filters? It's very important to experiment not just with filters, the content, style, videography angle, sound, everything. So when you make 5 videos, try to make 1 video experimental, okay? Because learning happens through experimentation. So I want you to try experimenting to see which one is working and so on. And whatever is working and whatever you enjoy, as a creator you enjoy, those are the things you can put more effort to make it like your regular thing. While you do your regular thing, make sure that you keep experimenting as well. Keep experimenting. That's the simple answer. How can this impact audience retention? It affects in a good way usually because it visually is interesting. Visually, you have applied a filter. I think you're talking about a filter that is not like a black and white filter. I think you are talking about a filter like a dinosaur filter and stuff. If it's like dinosaur filter or avatar filter and so on, Batman filter, obviously it will have more views, more retention. But again, it's very subjective, but most of the time, yes, it works because it's visual. Can you share specific strategies for making expectations versus reality or before-after videos more relatable and engaging? You're asking for a few ideas, specific strategies. So the strategy is expectation versus reality is the strategy. And if you're looking for specific examples, I'll give you a few examples. Expectation of what my haircut is going to look like versus reality. Just showing 2 different clips with the expression might be good. Like expectation, like you can be like, it's slow motion, whatever. And then the reality is like, I don't know, you can put a filter of a baby, something like that, okay? Another expectation versus reality can be, there's a lot of videos already, right? How I speak inside my head with my crush in English versus how I really speak. So expectation is, hey, how are you? I hope you had a great time, yeah? And then when you're speaking, my Anderson, my name. So expectation versus reality. Before and after, also similar thing. It's kind of similar, right? Before and after, you can, if it's a funny video, there are so many things, just like expectations versus reality. If it's like a really motivational style, you can even show the table before arranging the table versus after arranging the table, how it looks. You can even put a time lapse of you cleaning, and make sure that you put a nice background music and make sure that you color grade it, and it will be nice. Next question. What advice would you give for creators struggling to find the right balance between keeping videos short yet informative? Okay, don't try to fully depend on the words that you say when you share information. Okay? Let's say I try to explain, take this very simple example. Let's say I'm trying to explain how to add 14 with 19. Sorry, 14 and 19. Okay? So if I'm trying to explain it with words only, I'm like 14 plus 19. So remember, you have to add 9 and 4 first, and you have to put 9 plus 4 is 13. So you have to put 3 on one side, and you have to carry the 1 to the other side, and you have to add. There's already 1 and 1, right, on the left side. So 1 and 1 is 2, and then you have to add the carried 1, which is 3. So now the answer will be 33. Is it 33? I think 19 and 14, I said. Yeah, 33. Now see, I try to use so many words to explain something. Rather, what can I do to make that video short is use a whiteboard or some tool or some edits to visually show what I'm trying to explain. But I usually find whiteboard or something useful because I can just map things out. I can put 14 and 19, And I can be like, 9 plus 4 is 13, so I put a 3, and I carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And you have a lot of time. You don't know what to do now. That's the idea. So don't try to fully depend on, if you're giving information, don't try to depend on the words only. Try to use visuals. Try to use a whiteboard. Try to use, of course, you can use body language. Body language is also one best way to visually make sure that the message is shared. Try to use different objects to explain. Or you can make a separate video and then play it on the top, and then while you're explaining the bottom. That might also work. I think there's a lot of content creators who do that. So there's one full video, and then the video is split into half. In the bottom, there's a guy who's explaining, in Africa, this happened, and when that happened, blah, blah, blah. I think it's the content creator is called Dylan Page or something, yes. And on the top, they play the visuals. So when you're using the visual, you can reduce the information because the information is already there in the video itself. Okay? All right. So that's how you make the video short and informative at the same time. Use visuals, use tools, use whiteboard, whatever, and don't depend on only the words, because the words will be too much to process, and it's better to have a mix of words and some visuals, so you balance it and you'll have more time remaining. Okay? Because it's less for the brain to process when you can actually see what's going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have come to the end of the English session, and the upcoming session is at 3 p.m. This will be a Sinhala session. A different content creator / moderator / facilitator / coach / will come and then do the session. Okay? So I'll see you next time. Bye. Make sure to drink water, yeah? Okay, bye.